this Zeus Leshrac now. We're kind of at that point where Zeus isn't just, forced to play ultra scared with the items he's got, the Aether Lens, the Boots of Travel. He's got a lot of mobility, and he's got the cast range to kind of really sit back and just use his spells. So Fnatic are going to have to do what they can to try and guarantee that Raven doesn't get punished too heavily in these fights.
It feels like he needs this next Aegis. He'll have Skadi completed now. So Terrorblade with another big item there against the Morphling. And Roshan in 30 seconds, he'll make his appearance again. Team Secret, though, they've pushed out bottom wave real hard. That needs to be maintained by jabs on his Enigma. Mid lane going to get shoved by Rezo. So Secret really prepping here for this upcoming Roshan fight. It's an inevitability that they're going to have a big clash around the pit. And they've got a good ward as well, already prepped.
Yeah.
And they see Raven right now. And they're going to know there's a number of heroes lurking in that top right-hand corner. Elbow of the map is inhabited by DJ and Armel.
See, Januel headed top, so they're going to expect most of the Fnatic team to be up here. So looks like they're not going to look to set up a fight necessarily, but just play back and wait for Fnatic to come to them. Morphling is headed that direction as well.
Dire vision again. Puppey just keeping tabs on all of them. Sees the smoke happen. And they continue to have vision over Raven's Terrorblade. Armel will bottle up a haste. There's no one showing here from Secret. Chrysalis maybe, yeah, he's out in open water a little bit, but quickly away from that large camp after farming it.
I'm not sure if, does TB want to fight while he's being Morph Agi drained? It's 70 attack speed and 20% Agi. It's such a huge chunk of his damage that he loses.
Yeah, and wow, the jump on Puppey. Aiming Enchantress again. Takes a little while to bring her down, but she's now dead for 40. But the fact that Morphling also went for the talent, 16 morph duration, he's pretty much got this up constantly.
Yeah, perma uptime. Just has to find the TB, and TB's going to be pretty sad about it, so doesn't look like there's any kind of Lincolns or anything to kind of address it. He's just going to have to suffer a bit. Has a BKB queued up, which is, I think rightfully just more essential for his game. Roche's respawn now. Fnatic are kind of camping around there, at least around their vision. TB showing top though, so Fnatic have to be a little bit careful about any kind of fight that may break out here.
Taking the outpost, maybe a little risky, but something that DJ feels he needs to do so that Enchantress can't just respawn and TP top to get that vision going. Instead, Secret will TP mid, smoke up as 5.
Yep.
And start walking towards the Roche pit.
Enigma's so close to BKB, but just can't quite finish it off. Was trying to farm back in the jungle and mid lane. Has it coming out in the career now, so it looks like he will have it for this upcoming team fight if Fnatic can just be a little bit patient and not get caught out. But Secret, they're running at them. They're running into the high ground.
They still have this vision. They still have this ward up here. So Zayas with a roll in. The smoke from Fnatic broken immediately. They've caught out the Pango, silenced up and magnetized. And the snowball back in. DJ trying to close out Secret from getting up towards the Ancients as Raven, he clears through the Earth Spirit. And Secret, that looked like a good initiation, but no one can keep up with the Earth Spirit. There's no blinks, there's no real follow-through.
Yeah, I wonder if they saw I know they've seen it now under the ward, but I wonder if they saw the BKB on Enigma, and that's why they didn't jump in to follow him up.
That's a good call. Yeah, probably the case. But rather be safe and go for any hasty decisions.
Like, if Morphling commits and follows up the Earth Spirit there, he's just getting soloed Black Hole. Like, I think Jabs' only target is going to be this Morphling now.
And Fnatic with another smoke. They cleared all that dire vision, but they're playing up into top jungle where Jabs gets the Black Hole on the Zeus. Straight onto Nisha, kill him off with one swift hit from the Terrorblade. And now into Roche they'll head. DD up on Raven, should make short work of it.
Secret's still lingering around, but no buyback means they probably can't contest this one. 200 gold short, so it's not like he's going to have it in a second here. No Metamorphosis. Secret, they're charging forward. I think Morphling, knowing that there's no BKB Black Hole on the Enigma, really wants to take this fight, maybe.
Where is the Morph? Has he got TB mode? He does. He's got Meta ready. Enchantress tanking as many spells as she can. Zayas rolls in onto the Tusk, and they blow up DJ. Buyback from Puppey as well as DJ's Tusk. Knowing how important this Roshan fight is. And neither team want to commit to go into the pit.
Yeah. I'm a little, I think for Jabs, it's like he just saw the core and the Zeus, and, he's like, oh, it's Nisha from last game. I'm going to black hole him, but I think not black holing Morphling is kind of I think playing into Secret's hands there, like playing without meta, without Black Hole is so tricky for Fnatic. They cannot force this Roshan. They want to delay it. Like I think Januel's just like trying to pull Rosh out of the pit with some decays here, because he knows that Secret are the ones who actually can go for Roshan here with these ultis on cooldown.
Yeah, Crystallis just has a BKB delivered, so they get straight on top of the Undying and taking him down. In comes DJ, buyback out of Januel. Zayat has a BKB as well, though. Rolling back in towards Jab's Enigma. Zayat's the sacrifice again, as Team Secret, they force back Fnatic away from the Roche pit. Try and get Crystallis a bit of space here, and keep Nisha at arm's reach away from that TB. And they'll walk back into the Roche pit again.
They need this meta. It's up in a couple of seconds.
Januel, the mech and the tombstone's down on the ground. Soul rips himself, but the Crystallis damage is substantial while DJ's blown up. Nisha force-staffed away, surviving, but the Spirit Vessel's ticking him down and will clear up the Zeus at long last. Raven with that Skadi, aiming for targets, but Puppey not the ideal hero to be going on. Buying a lot of space here for Secret to reposition themselves and look for another go. Armel, he balls up, tries to shield crash away, has to BKB to try and dodge away from Puppey's damage.
These fights, it's just, even when the meta came up, Raven's just struggling to dish out damage. He's having his illusions enchanted by Puppey. He's lost all of his, well, a good chunk of his agi and attack speed to the Morphling, and just being kited around. Like, it's so frustrating to be TB playing into this.
And he's realized he needs BKB, he buys it now, but having BKB without meta feels so awkward. Jabs with no Black Hole just blinks and Midnight Pulses, but Roshan's claimed by Secret. Aegis in the hands of the Morphling, Puppey shredded there by the TB, but Secret with the ability to turn around potentially. Crystallis is struggling though, thinking about the way forward. He can morph and shift into the TB if he wants to. Battle here between Crystallis and Raven, and the Morphling will lose his first life thanks to Armel's contributions.
I think Fnatic want to stick around with the Zeus showing up, but they'll be thrilled about taking out the Aegis instantly. And they did all of that without a Black Hole, without a Metamorphosis. It was all off the back of just fighting around this choke point where they had Tombstone down, Rolling Thunder bouncing around all the cliffs, and Armel dishing out some serious damage there. We'll see it once again.
Just wild fights.
Yeah. Really understand why things are starting to be a struggle for Fnatic. Just unable to really fight around the strength of the TB. He does queue up the Lincolns now. I think, yeah, he had a Daedalus queued up, but he switched over, knowing that the Morph being perma uptime is just ruining his life. 36 duration on a 40-second cooldown. It's always being cast on him, so he needs to not give Crystallis this easy Morph target.
It's absolutely vital. So many tools here, you know, through draft, through play and execution. Secret are handling this Terrorblade very nicely.
Yep.
They're pinging him out now as well. Puppey is prepping his team to move bottom, but you see the radiant dots on the minimap here. Fnatic are absolutely ready to guard their Terrorblade with everything they've got. Well, BKB Blink Black Hole is ready.
Are they going on Puppey? I've seen this one before.
Oh, leave the Enchantress alone. Armel gonna crash forward, but a bit of a force staff back from Puppey. Creates the gap, and this is Fnatic trying to bridge it with the Black Hole onto the Morphling. They've caught him out, and Crystallis is down. Huge kill for Fnatic. On to Leshrac we go, but he's got himself an Aghanim Scepter. Turning on the Nihilism, trying to get away, but Raven with his BKB is the answer to that play. Team Secret lose 2 cores. Puppey's eyes both on the run. And Fnatic, what a beautiful setup, going even deeper for more. DJ with the opening. He'll get a lot of damage on the jabs, but it's not enough to kill off the Enigma. Zayat slowed down to a crawl by Raven Skadi slow, and Nisha Heavenly Jump not gonna work. Closed in on by Fnatic. 4 down on Secret. And the Southeast Asian squad striking back incredibly hard.
They're finally found the big team fight. The Jabs is going to be thrilled. He finally got the key here. Last game he struggled to catch the sniper. This game he struggled to find the Morphling, but all it took was one Black Hole on the Morphling to break things wide open for Fnatic, and they're going high ground off of that. It looked like, you know, the same kind of story from last game with the initiation on the Puppey's Ench where, you know, he buys too much time and you've kind of committed too many spells on an Ench, but it was almost a distraction. It was only Armel going on Puppey while Enigma went for the Crown Jewels, went for the Morphling.
The Crown Jewels. It really is the gem in the crown here for Secret as we see it. Zayat just trying to drag waves, delay this. They've held back Fnatic from their bottom lane. Secret have kept them at bay. And watch back the fight here. That chemo is, jabs. Sees his target, picks his man.
And I think importantly got the Midnight Pulse down too. That's such a huge chunk of damage, having the percent-based damage against some Morphling. We'll see the Tusk go down in real time, pick off onto the pesky DJ full position. And it's far from over here. They didn't get any lane of racks, and they're going to have to play very patiently and cautiously now with the Black Hole on cooldown for a little bit longer, but I think Fnatic have shown they've got a clear answer now for the Morphling, who's going to have to play very much around like maybe buyback here, where he like accepts getting Black Hole and just he did a buyback that fight. I was wondering if he was going to use it, because once Black Hole's being used, he kind of does become the king of the fight.
And a minute of freedom with that Tusk kill for Secret to push out multiple lanes. Fnatic, in fact, hiding their base. A 6k lead, not that meaningful 35 minutes in. And it feels like everyone now is really just considering the next Roshan. How can we get ourselves into a position here to get that third one? Zayats. An interesting roll across the bow of Fnatic's front line there. Januel even popping the Flesh Golem, expecting the continuation from Secret.
Secret thought they were going, and they even threw the E-Blade on the Undying, but he's got a pipe now, so basically itemizing to try and counteract a lot of what Zeus is doing and to help protect the TB a little bit with the mech and pipe. Black Hole back up, and definitely was not entirely sure about this minus on Jabs, but at this stage of the game, with all the 50-minute plus games, it's clearly paying off, and I think Jabs is thrilled with the pickup.
Yeah, I mean, he's level 20. He's ahead of the Zeus and the Lesh, keeping up with those bigger carries and the TB and the Morphling.
Has gone for the Ags over the Refresher. The extra damage, wanting to make sure that they are able to kill the Morphling during it. Not to mention the fact that it's percent-based damage as well, so you combine that with the Midnight Pulse, all this damage that just pierces through spell immunity, so the Morphling's BKB doesn't really do a whole lot against the Enigma.
Yeah, at this point, I'd love to see Secret grab a gem. We've already got one over on the side of Fnatic. Januel has gone through, cleared the Ancients area. There's no dire vision here. And they're smoking up together. Again, an identical move we've had from Fnatic here to guard Roshan is this smoke from around the mid-tier 1 area and past through that top jungle, but looks like they're changing tact a little bit. Trying to play into the lane rather than the top jungle itself. I see a couple of Morph illusions, but no hero from Secret showing until Poppy says, hello, I'm an Enchantress. Yeah, come on, roll it onto me. Try and kill me off, it'll take a little while. And has buyback available if they want to fight as well.
Pretty monster soul ripper there at the end, doing some good damage, and I think Fnatic, knowing they've committed a decent number of spells, just with the Rolling Thunder being the big one, aren't going to hard commit to this mid lane, but Secret don't want to use a buyback at this point. They're more than happy to maybe give up an outer tower if it means holding on to even a support buyback.
Yeah, speaking of buybacks, Morphling has bought out, so doesn't have buyback for this fight. Finished off his Skadi. So Terrorblade, Pango, Zeus, Lesh, Enchantress, and Earth Spirit. All the heroes with buybacks here. As Secret have that slight defender's advantage with the buyback back into the fight. Rack's being taken down quickly though by Eidolons and TB illusions.
Just complete caution from Fnatic, only willing to send in the summons and the illusions. They don't quite get the range Rex. It doesn't really matter if that range Rex dies or not. It's a bit of gold. The creep pressure is kind of negligible at this point. What matters is whether or not some kind of big team fight breaks out or somebody gets caught. And Fnatic wanted to defend top and wanted to just back off and reset things for now. Wait for that next Roshan.
Yeah, another one of these games where it feels like terrain definitely does become a factor. Fnatic want these high ground spots for Tombstone. They want the choke points for Black Hole. They need the vision to see the Morphling. Secret. They're trying to roll in the Zayats again. And they get the jump on to DJ. As Zayat's going to BKB and roll back away. A bit of a poke and prod there from Secret to see if there are any weaknesses in Fnatic's line, but they are a chainmail link. They are all tight, holding together. Nothing could pierce through them.
They're using their vision well. Like the TB illusions, the Eidolons, they're constantly being sent out. Jabs is microing individual Eidolons in certain directions just to make sure they can get any intel about Secret's movements, where they are on the map. And Secret doing similar things often. Puppey with the Edge, Morphling with the Manta style. They've got their own ways of making sure that they try and get vision up on the map.
2 minutes for Roche. Secret Swarm and bot. No real vision for them to play into either, so not going to entertain any smoke ganks or fights here. Looks like Puppey going to guard the DD rune bottom. Still going to get...
Oh, Puppey's been found.
Yeah, he's still going to get jumped on by Armel here, and the Shard's allowing him to just crash roll after roll, as Crystal is in fact denying the DD with his illusions.
Can't really come in, not when there's a threat of an Enigma black hole. They don't know where Jabs is. He's over near the Roshan pit for now. It's Camp Roshan time. They've got such good vision. Fnatic with complete Team 5 control. When they've got their spells, even if they're missing one, like a Rolling Thunder, that's, I think, something Fnatic's done a good job of understanding, is that Rolling Thunder can just be used off cooldown. Anytime you see a support to kill, just commit it, because as long as we've got Black Hole, as long as we've still got meta, we're not afraid of taking a 5v4 fight with Rolling Thunder on cooldown.
Like coming for your buildings, though. Tier 3
Lincolns
top.
now.
Yeah, protected against that Morphling morph. Resolution going to front line, clear out the waves as best he can. And such a nice shard to have as well, with a split earth replicating itself. But again, yeah, Fnatic, they've got to come and contend with bottom lane, maintain this creep equilibrium, knowing that Roshan could be up any second now. They need that map state to be in their favor.
Raven does TP bottom, but immediately just drops an illusion and runs back to join his team. Just wants to make sure that these lanes are pushed out. Secret don't have the best heroes for any kind of split push here, so Fnatic get to just camp these wards smoked up. They want to start a fight, and they see Puppey.
Yet again, it's Puppey gliding in.
Does de-ward.
And caught out with a walrus punch. Always funny to see that interaction between the punch and the untouchable.
Importantly, Puppey doesn't have buyback, so
yeah,
like these Ench deaths are like kind of worth it for the vision on some level, but when you don't have buyback, it doesn't quite feel as good. And you know, again, 5v4, no Rolling Thunder. Fnatic feel confident they can win any team fight, and they can also just take a Roshan here. So doesn't look like Secret are going to be able to contest this one. They do scan it out, so but they're just going to be way too late. They're letting this one go.
and this is a Roshan with Ags. Is this now Tusk with Kick? It is. So DJ is going to have the ability here to blink in and kick the Morphling into the Enigma. So Jabs doesn't actually have to make that kind of first jump. He doesn't have to show.
Yeah. Usually these Ags and whatnot almost always go to chorus just because, you know, they're the greedy ones. They're the ones who want it, but a Tusk kick is huge, and they've got Zayat stop now. Going for the roll out, but he's got the Malefice. He purges it off, so BKB TP, not worth a black hole.
He finishes his Ags. That's what he was up top farming for. So now you've got that ability here to save someone, but Earth Spirit doesn't have Blink. There's a pretty short range on the Enchant Remnant. We'll see if he can save someone from Black Hole, though. That's going to be his key role here for Zayat. He's been the initiator, he's been the chaos creator, but now he is the saving mechanism for the Morphling against the Enigma. Secret finding that space on the map, as they are so good at doing down bottom, keeping their net worth up there. A bit of a gap between the Morph and the TB now. But Crystal is still in a pretty good spot.
Yeah, just being able to play a team fight a bit more confidently based on Earth Spirit's positioning. Does have the Blink Dagger to follow up the Ags queued up, so.
Oh, Enchantress.
Oh my gosh.
The kickback. Is that a Yules from Puppey himself? Yeah, self-Yules, Ghost Scepter, 21 charges. Doesn't even get a chance to use them. Dead for 50 seconds. I mean, no buyback until now. Okay, he just gets the money for it, so it seems it was very well timed by Puppey there to have it available.
They're dropping the Tombstone. Raven blinking high ground with the Swift Blink.
Tier 3 being shredded. E-Blade dodge, the kickback on Nisha, the catch the Zeus, but there's the Enchant Remnant. Zayat turns him into a statue and kicks him to safety, while DJ, he pops the cheese to survive against this Metamorphosis Morphling. Puppey brought back, and is up in the front lines. In a black hole, though, it's onto 3 of them. Jabs, he's got the perfect initiation. Allow for Raven now to chase onto Resolution. BKB's starting to wear off, though. He needs the Sunder, doesn't get a good one, and Raven's dead for the first time. Crystallis Morphling able to hold the high ground, but Secret have still lost 3 heroes quickly, and the Morphling doesn't look like he's going to stand a chance anymore. Chanoel and DJ on his tail, and Secret 3 members down, make that a 4th one, and 2 buybacks from Secret on their Zeus and Morphling. A little bit scary, but I don't think they've got enough in the tank to fight against 5 of Fnatic.
Jabs redeeming himself for last game. I think Secret is so much in the mindset that, okay, he's just trying to solo Black Hole Morphling, that the other 3 heroes didn't even like register that they were grouped up for a perfect 3-man Black Hole. Jabs has just been only looking for Morphling and getting a kickback, doesn't connect, and yeah, just a dream Black Hole for the Jabs Enigma.
Huge stuff. He's waited. He's waited 90 minutes for a Black Hole like that. Gets one finally. And then straight back up to high ground. Kicking back Crystallis, forcing the waveform. He does have that TB Metamorphosis on cooldown, but DJ very low. Essence Ring gonna keep him topped up. A bit of heals coming in. And Fnatic just resetting.
Yeah, they almost got the punish on Zayt's Earth Spirit there. Great job with the Undying, using the pipe plus mech and keeping DJ alive there. He's becoming a pretty key part of their team fights with the kickback, giving him the Ag Scepter. Means you definitely want to prioritize his life.
I don't know why I said Essence Ring. There's no Essence Ring anymore. It's just a ton of heals there. It looked like DJ was getting healed like 5 different things at the same time. My brain lagging a little bit, but yeah, we can see DJ able to jump in and get out.
Yeah, I think they're just so genuine. He's done like some absurd amount of healing so far this game, like 15,000 healing.
Goodness.
But still, no Rax claim. Fnatic, they've taken every tier 3 tower. Some of these range Rexes are low in health, but unable to finish any off quite yet. And now they're playing without Aegis, so it does look like they're going to... I mean, they have to play safe. Black Hole being down it's the one time of the game where Secret are able to play a bit more aggressive. But the problem is it feels like Secret, when Black Hole's down, have got out on the map, got some vision down, but they've never actually been able to take a good fight. At least not for quite some time.
Play on Division Secret. Stay up here, smoke up together. Fnatic are over at your Ancients. They're actually spreading pretty wide here as Fnatic. Oh, Mel clears out bottom wave. Jabs is in behind him. If Secret go up this high ground, they're going to be in a 5v3 to start the fight off. Not confident enough to do it, though, breaking into that dark area of the map. They'd much rather push out mid-wave, stay under their Observer Ward, wait and bide out their time.
Playing things slow, and the parts of the map where you don't have vision, especially high grounds, you just don't really want to mess with. Armel doing a good job cutting the mid-creep wave, alleviating some of that pressure that Secret's sending down the mid lane, and looks like they'll finally get their first Rax of the game with this bottom range Rax.
It took a while. I get the job done.
Eyes on DJ and Armel. They're looking for those initiations, whether it's a Rolling Thunder or a kickback. Puppey could become a target again, and there we go.
Straight in onto that Puppey Enchantress. Yules again just delays the inevitable as she lands and hits the floor with a thud. Dead for 65 seconds, but Fnatic still tentative, aware of the threat of this Zeus Morphling.
It looks like a scenario where they're actually waiting for the Rolling Thunder cooldown. He hit 25. He's 27 now in Pengo, so the Rolling Thunder cooldown, it's already back. So Puppey's going to be dead, and they'll have Rolling Thunder. That's so nice for Fnatic.
Look at the grab. Eon Disc and the enchant from Nisha. Jabs thinking about the black hole. He's waiting, trying to look for the best opportunity, but it's only Zayas there as an option. And the quick movement across, giving Zayas a bit of space, but Raven and Armel opening up now with a black hole on the Morphling. They've caught out Crystallis. That's all they needed. A few more touches here onto the Morph will finish off this game for Fnatic as Armel controls him beautifully. And the second black hole onto Resolution will secure the GGs.
Oh, Fnatic bouncing back, and must feel so good because they took a long time before they first picked this Enigma. After losing with the hero in game 1, a lot of teams would, lose confidence in the pick, particularly with how well Secret played and drafted against it, but they made the necessary adjustments, and Jabs came back and Absolutely had a fantastic game here in game number 2.
Yeah, spot on. Absolutely spot on stuff. Much easier than finding the sniper, getting these black holes on the Morphling. And yeah, Raven, honestly, during the draft, I think you're on the same page as me here, looking at the Morphling, the Lesh, the Zeus, the Ench, the Earth Spirit, 5 potential counterpicks against the TB. He didn't die a single time.
Yeah, and it felt like he was still such a big threat in every single team fight. He wasn't maybe, I mean, his pad in the stats in terms of the assists there, but honestly, fantastic game from him. And I think the fact that they had this multiple ways to jump these heroes, with DJ's Tusk and with Armel's Pengo, they were just always able to threaten Nisha's Zeus. Like when I saw the Zeus pick, I was like, this looks great. Like Zeus is against the TB, against the Enigma, like just this good hero to sit back and kind of be like a magic damage sniper, but it doesn't work as well when you're constantly getting jumped on.
Yeah, real challenging from them. I mean, we saw the strength of that Aghanim's Morphling for damn sure. As we can watch a couple of these clips back here in game 2, as Fnatic did tie things up against Team Secret in this group stage best of 2. Armel skirting the edge of these fights so very well. Chrysalis really had his work cut out for him because he knew he needed to get on top of the TB, but always afraid of that Enigma with a black hole as an ever-present threat.
I think in some ways also the other big factor in this game, to me the unsung hero, is Januel's Undying. 17,000 heal, all the damage being blocked from the pipe. The fact he got such a fast mech as well, there were multiple times where he was saving teammates. We saw the DJ save up top. He's just helping keep Raven alive, the Soul Rip as well. And also just being unable to fight around the Tombstone. It felt like he was absolutely instrumental this game for Fnatic.
Yeah, that Boots level 1, getting first blood, buying Windlace and just chasing people around. And zoning 2 heroes all on his lonesome as the Undying. Spectacular stuff from him. I don't know, I expected a little more from Nisha on this Zeus. It was a decent looking pick, ends up 5, 6, and 9. But just didn't really have the opportunities to blow people up or really get involved early on. The fact that they needed to wait for Chrysalis. And it might be one of those things where, Team Secret look back on this and think, why did we shift things around again? Maybe we just go back to putting Nisha on that carry mid, have resolution on the initiation hero, because this was a bit of a step away from the normal Secret, it felt like.
Yeah, I mean, Nisha's played the Zeus before, but he had like all the items you could hope for on Zeus, the E-Blade and everything, and it just, it didn't really feel like he was blowing people up in the fights. Ends the game with 45,000 hero damage, most of his team, but, for a Zeus in a 50-minute game, I don't think that's anything like insane or... And you look at the KDA and it's like, well, he wasn't actually finishing off many of these kills. It felt like Rezo also had a rough time. I think perhaps Secret's going to look back in this lane and think about the laning stage. That bottom lane was an absolute disaster for them. It could be very different for Rezo if he manages to kind of get off to a better start. But because he's playing catch-up, he never gets to a point where it can really be this tanky frontline Lesh. He's always just in trouble and in danger of being blown up by a Raven TV.
So much patience from Jabs. Like watching these last couple of black holes, they look nice, but it's the preceding moves that really make the difference where, it's not just patience from him, it's the ability for, like you're saying, Jabs and Janabal to frontline and force the opponents into these awkward positions where they're waiting to see where is the Enigma, where is he? Jabs hiding away in the tree lines, in the fog, doing a very good job holding, even 20 seconds into a team fight, just holding onto that black hole to make sure he gets the right jump every single time. And yeah, very, very well deserved position right at the front of his squad there. Jabs with a great performance on that Enigma.
Yeah, the captain of the team, and he's been such a key player for them. We'll see some of these final stats here, but yeah, honestly, very impressive for Fnatic. A classic Raven game. I feel like he's had so many of these games at TI where he goes like deathless on some big late game carry. He's kind of at least known for playing more of the super hard carries. There's your MVP, Jabs on the Enigma. But yeah, for you fantasy players out there, pick Raven for your teams. This guy has so many like 10-0-20 games. He'll carry your fantasy Dota teams. But this man may not be putting up the same fantasy stats, but great black holes this game.
Yeah, Raven with assist, GPM, towers taken, whatever you want, he's got it. They took that tier 1 tower bottom very, very early on. But yeah, Jabs on our screen, the match MVP, doing very well across 2 games with his Enigma, looking pretty damn strong.
Yeah.
And the Hand of Midas also paying off dividends. You see that coming in on the courier, you're thinking, wait, hang on a second, he's going Midas here, but yeah, I think it will.
in the end to finish his refresher and get 6 slotted, but honestly, yeah, fantastic game from him. I think understanding that once again it's going 50 minutes. We're seeing a lot of these 50-minute Dota games, and that's where I think obviously a contributing factor of Enigma being a top tier pick is that Dota feels, a bit slower than it used to be in some previous patches.
Yeah, it sure does. Well, that rounds things up here for our first series on the main stream. 1-1 between Fnatic and Secret. So we can head over to Nat and have a bit of a chat about what's going on in these group stage matches.
Secret up against Fnatic, 1 piece each. That game 1 going the way of Secret, game 2 going the way of Fnatic. Let's have a little bit of a chat about it, guys. For that game 1, looking really great for Secret. Sort of the Secret I think a lot of people expected after watching them in Last Chance qualifiers.
Yeah, well, I'm not sure about the early game, though, because, it was a really wild early game. Unfortunately, Crystallis on his Viper. This had to be the most rough early game for any core this entire tournament. He was lane swapping, he got tri-laned by 2 cores. At some point, he was the lowest net worth in the game. At 6 minutes, he had 6 CS. He's all the way down there. You can see him at the bottom of the net worth there. It was very, very sad for him. And Fnatic, they were looking so good. They had a 5,000 gold advantage around the 22-minute mark. The kill score was doubling Team Secret as well. And I thought, oh, this is Fnatic's game. Then all of a sudden, Secret, they get into the Roche pit. They get the Aegis on top of Nisha. Fnatic, they start using their spells a little strange to me. They ended up black holing and using the Sonic Wave on the position 4 Earth Spirit, not even killing him. And since that moment onward, Rezo took charge of the game along with Nisha on his sniper, and they just closed out the game. It was a great turnaround from Team Secret in this game.
Rezo being on the Primal Beast definitely helped them. On game 2, though, Resolution picking up the Leshrac Kazu.
Yeah, so I feel like in this draft, it's maybe not fully ideal for Team Secret. I feel like the one thing I want to point out is that this is an insane Enigma game. It's basically free. You buy Blink BKB, and I mean, who stops you? No one. Basically nobody. Then there's also the Pango, gonna help the team fight. So even though you have TB playing with Morphling, it doesn't matter because your team is covering all the problems that you're dealing with.
T-Panda, for you, that Secret game 2, Secret game 2, Fnatic game 2, we're expecting it to go as long as it did. Fnatic doing the SEA thing, picking up a TB, having that late game farmer.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at these TB lineups, you suspect that, okay, we've got the late game scaling, we can potentially drag it all the way around, but it was, as mentioned, there was some good moments for Secret through the Leshrac. You see the Morphling come out, Zeus also a bit of a nuisance. It's still considered a pretty hard counter to the TB having a Zeus up in your lineup, so Secret did a pretty good job with it, but still Fnatic able to turn it around and get that tie.
Close out that game. That's only the best of 2 here that happened on a stream. We have 4 other streams, so 5 in total that we want to cover. Very quickly touching on the fact that Entity got a 2-0 over on Thunder on the B stream, Kazi, very quickly.
All about Arc Warden, my good old friend Stormer. I've seen him play 20 games in the pubs before. You play Arc Warden mid, you buy Flip-Flop, also known as Gleipnir, you go Axe, Travels, and you become a different Invoker, and then you win.
Yeah, well, but we see the draft here between Team Spirit and Talon. That was on that C stream.
Yeah, so when we went to this game, something that is interesting to note here is that they decided to play Doom carry. Spoiler alert, worked out very well. He had some cool item builds, also with the Ags later in the game. And basically what happened in this game is that it was a back and forth early on, but then later, Talon, they kind of picked up the pace. They played very well. They had some team fights that later on with Doom being super farmed, very fat with this Ags here. As you can see, he just runs people down. You get 4-staff, well, I don't care. He has a 500 radius. He just walks you down, and then Talon, they just got to close out game 1.
Yeah, the second one, we were able to keep a close eye on that as well, considering it went the opposite way, so both of them picking up 1 apiece.
Yeah, so with the second game, something that stood out to me a little bit is that they got their hands on Marcy and Enigma in the draft. 2 heroes that are super heavily contested, but I guess maybe Spirit had, an idea of what they wanted to do against it. And at least in the early game, it didn't look like their answer was that good because Mikoto, he kind of slapped over the whole game. He had a very good early game. But overall, if people want to, watch good games and get better, this is the one to watch because Spirit won purely on outplay in this game.
Oh, okay. I might even have to go back and have a look at that one then. A team that was sort of outplayed, I'm just going to say it how it is, especially in game 1, TSM kind of looking like they're struggling a lot, dragging their feet, getting 2-0'd by Aster. Fear.
Yeah, it was a bit of a rough one. I managed to catch the second game, I believe, where they did a Sven 5. We're starting to see that a bit more in popularity now. And they paired up with the Drow. So it was a first pick like Shadow Fiend, and they first phased the Drow to counter. I think it's just a great counter pick, by the way. But I was super surprised that this Sven Drow lane was able to completely bully a Beast and Rubik lane. So the Drow got out of hand in this particular game. It was very well played by them. They tried to do a theory craft with the AA versus Celestrak, because Celestrak will buy the Bloodstone. Obviously, with the AA ultimate, they will negate all that healing. So that was something they tried out, but unfortunately, it fell a little flat this game. The AA was not able to find those openings that he was hoping for, and they just couldn't close the game out, sorry. And the Drow was just way too farmed here. It's really good versus SF, though. All these agility, like, ranged cores, we're seeing more and more of this Drow counter them.
So that's all the highlights, I guess, for Aster. Means I want to flip the narrative, have TSM be talked about just for a brief moment, T-Panda, because they came second at Stockholm Major. They didn't qualify for Arlington Major. We haven't really seen them play officials for quite some time, and now they're struggling in the first 2 days of groups here at TI.
Yeah, I think TSM hasn't had that many good results in quite a long time now. I think a lot of people would see that where other North American teams would be like a bit of a wild card, TSM just hasn't been up to that level. They started off the year pretty well. Like, we looked at the results, TSM was like, okay, they're performing well on online, they're performing well on LAN, but then just falling off. I guess, you know, maybe a bit of fatigue might have been in the air at some point of the year, and they've had to do a bit of rebuilding potentially in their gameplay style, but not too many massive changes. But as you can see, they're struggling right now. TSM is not in a good place.
Yeah, another team having, I guess, those mixed results definitely throughout the year is Tundra. Again, a team that looks great at Stockholm Major, not so much at Arlington, going 1-1 here with Beast Coast.
Yeah, so this first game, when you look at basically the carry matchup, it might look like, all right, I can pretty much 1+1 sum this up, but it isn't that case. As you can see, the TB is on the back end. He was 6th in net worth at this game. So you have like this really tough lane. You have a low HP Glass Cannon hero versus Snap and Tiny. Ain't fun to play. Snap is always a nuisance in the lane, and especially Whisper, who I have to highlight here. Throughout the series, throughout day one, absolutely the best player from Beast Coast. I just wish that the rest of them would also get up towards his level, because this team has been together for what, over 3 years now, and it feels like Whisper is the only one who's really ready for TI. So Beast Coast have this hidden potential that we're just waiting to arise. So when you look at this game too, especially the draft that you quickly saw on Glimpse, you're like, wait, that's a Naga versus Underlord? That doesn't look too good. And then it goes vice versa. So where the TB would be better than the Sven TB loses the game, we've got Naga getting basically bullied a bit by the Underlord, but not really in game. It just felt like this mid Underlord that they decided to drive ended up dying 5, 6, 7 times this game. Like, wasn't really a pristine Underlord game in the end. They got the CK picking up the first Aegis for Tundra. At that point, it felt pretty rough, and especially for Nine's Tiny. It was a hard game in terms of Beast Coast draft doesn't really allow you to snowball in this game. The side lanes are super hard to gank. But, you know, 33 Doom, pretty stonks. Whisper is still trying to carry the team. That's basically the theme here for these two teams.
Yeah, I want to have a touch on that Doom. Not right now, though, because we want to see the standings. Now that we've had Group A and Group B playing the same amount of best of twos, we can sort of see how they're all shaping up. And again, that Group B being so close, having 3 teams in the middle with 3 wins, 3 losses, and 4 at the bottom. Beast Coast, Fnatic, Talon, and TSM struggling at 2 wins and 4 losses. A little bit more differentiation between Group A, and we are going to see them play another best of 2, get 2 more games under their belts, see how much more that ladder is going to change up. I guess if there is a team that stands out for you guys, this is your moment to highlight that coming into Group A, how they're looking and what you expect for the first time we see them playing on day 2.
Go ahead.
I'll go with LGD. I think, like, today I need them to really step up, because I think with one of the upcoming matches we have later, I'll get more into it then, but my eyes are on LGD.
I want to check out Hikori, honestly.
Yeah, I was going to say Hikori as well.
Yeah, that's a hot topic, right? Like, they've threw everyone so far. Can they win a series? Will they be able to stop EG's unlosable streak? Well, I guess they'll play Liquid now. We'll see if Liquid has a chance to do that as well. But if they can't, Hikori's up next.
Yeah, like every region team inside this Group A is like somewhere top and bottom, basically. So you've got one thriving team, you've got one who's still looking for their place. So this can probably shake up in this second day.
Well, I have two great pieces of news then for you guys. One, Hikori is playing right now over on eStream. If you guys are also interested to see how they're going to be coming into day number 2, you can head on over to that 5th stream that we have going on. But if you, Kezi, you get the real good news. We've got LGD up against OG here on the main stream. We're going to look at, I guess, both teams, but also more specifically, play a comparison here between BZM and Nothing to Say.
Yeah, I feel like, I mean, this kind of shows in the stats already. OG have been performing better than LGD. You can see it here in the statistics as well of the mid players. I mean, BZM, you know, he's kind of some definitely hot stuff coming into the season. This guy's owning, he's feeling good. I mean, LGD, they should have been feeling good the whole season too, but now they really need to, like, they need to step it up. I've been clearly disappointed with their showing so far, at least just with day 1, but, you know, now we're in day 2, so hopefully they can change some things around.
Don't want to hop too much on LGD and sort of where they're struggling. Instead, we want to highlight how OG is really thriving. They are the only team so far to pick Elder Titan, getting 2 for 2 on that. And then the Razor and Timber sort of around Amar there. Yeah.
Well, interesting enough, they're playing that Elder Titan with 2 wins on position 4 on Taiga, which is a little strange because normally you see that hero being played as a position 5. So Taiga's taken that one up. They played against the Morphling, was really good. And, you know, the Razor and Timber you mentioned, those are just Amar specials. Still, as we would say, living in the past with his hero pool, but he kind of brought that hero pool to existence, and he's going to keep riding with it. So if there is someone I expect to pick those heroes, it is him, and I'm glad he's sticking with, you know, what works for him.
Yeah, very quickly, T-Ben, how do you see this series going? Do you think it's going to be 1-1 apiece or 2-0 to a certain one?
Looking at the form that OG is currently in, and Yuragi, man, that guy, he was setting records as well for the Naga. He's got like most last hits average per minute. Like, this guy is going really ham right now. I think at the carry matchup, if Ame steps up his game, that's probably what a lot of people are waiting to see. Like, is LGD up for the task? Because OG seems like a heavy favorite. You could say 2-0. I'd like to say 1-1 on this one.
All right, I'm hoping that that is the case. That game and series is ready, though. We're going to jump back with Gareth and Gods.
Thank you so much, Nanya. Here we are, heading into our second series of the day. LGD up against OG, and yeah, the panel's absolutely right, Gods. 2 very different stories for their day 1 group stage between them.
Absolutely. LGD need to pick things up. It's not the day 1 they were hoping for, but I think that's often the case when you come into TI. Some teams have a bad day 1 on groups, bounce back. I mean, I think most notably last TI, it was Team Spirit who started the group stage, I think, with a losing record and came back and won like their last 6 or 8 group stage games. So still plenty of dough to be played. It's a 4-day group. Having one bad day, and it was only a 1 win, 3 losses. It's not the worst thing in the world for LGD.
5 seconds.
Yeah, a little bit disappointing, but not the end of the world. So they drew up against Hikori and Sonics, and they lost to EG. EG stomping their way through these group stages early on, undefeated so far. And that's also the challenge that OG met, right? Because they were both undefeated, OG and EG, until that final series between them, leading to a 2-0 victory for EG. So OG started with a lot of momentum. Maybe now a little pause to think after that 2-0 loss and some things to build on. But heading into the draft here for game 1, already seeing an Undying starting out for LGD.
Yep, no surprises there. I think we're starting to see a bit of a meta emerge, at least as far as some heroes. I think one of the teams that we're seeing here, OG, they're a team that's gone very out of meta with a lot of their picks. They're still playing their Razors, their Vipers in the off lane. They've loved this ET. We're seeing the picks come out now. They had a game the other day where they opened with Slark in the first phase against Gaming Gladiators. They've been kind of just drafting their stuff. They don't care what the meta is.
Yeah, doing whatever they want. You know, Exort Invoker first phase. Bring out the Marcy when you can, but it's going to be same old classic from LGD. Undying into Shadow Fiend, 2 very meta picks for them.
Yeah, I wonder if they feel Shadow Fiend is maybe going to be the answer to the Amar Razor. You've got a range carry that is a little bit. Maybe wait and see a little bit more of the draft before they kind of commit to anything when it comes to the Shadow Fiend role.
Yeah, decide where you want to put him. A little later on. Enigma, probably the standout omission here from the draft. Ignored so far in the bans, and not picked in the first phase by either team. Is this a case of people now figuring out Enigma? Because you mentioned in the last series, maybe not worth that first phase material.
Yeah, I think at least on some level. I mean, the hero still definitely looks really strong. We saw the redemption arc in game number 2, but for I think PSG LGD maybe feeling like it's just a little bit slower paced, particularly when you've got a Shadow Fiend. I think they're a team that just doesn't like to pick like 3 kind of greedy farming cores. They like to play this kind of more fast-paced kind of style where they're the ones setting the tempo a bit. At the same time, it's still Enigma, so you know OG is still going to bend it out. They're targeting offlaners. You think what's the best offlaners left in the pool?
Yeah.
The Beastmaster is more of that tempo one, and I think Enigma can play at tempo. We saw it a bit last game. Like, yeah, it's late game, but that's what makes the hero so strong. You get early Wraith Pack, or if you want to get Spirit Vessel because it's good, you can get these early game items and still come.
You absolutely can. And a bit more focus from LGD across to like mid lane, safe lane, even a position 4 ban out there. Kind of knowing that Amar is likely the one on the Razor, and this is probably going to be the Tiger ET, although there is a little bit of flexibility with that. And it felt like OG in their previous series, they used this ET as almost a bait for the Enigma, where they felt good having the support and allowing their opponents to pick it, but they're still opting to ban it out.
A lot of emphasis on Faith the Armored, some of these bans. 3 offlaners getting banned out, now a 4th offlaner banned out, so really trying to target down the PSG LGD offlane player.
He's got a pretty wide hero pool, though. You know,
Yes.
Throughout history, he's been very well known back into the Wings days of just playing whatever his team wants him to. So you've still got, you know, your Mars, your Centaur, your Timbersaw, whatever else is out there for him. Even a Viper is available if they want to go that direction as well.
Yeah, I don't think he's too worried seeing all these bans, as you mentioned. Maybe, you know, it's going to force them as a team onto something a bit new, but that's not necessarily a problem.
Whoa.
Pugna.
Something
Wow.
new.
Something totally new.
Not new for OG as a team, but this squad of players a little new.
Yeah, I'm looking at this and I'm like, okay, they got a ton of magic burst when you like decrep someone plus the ET spirit, but they've got no magic damage follow-up. Maybe that's going to be where they round out their draft with, but I wouldn't consider Pugna like a counter to something PSG LGD have done. Like, could be good against the SF with the decrep against like a physical damage SF build, but doesn't seem like a counter by any means.
Yeah, because the last couple of times they've picked it as being like 5-6 months ago has primarily been against these Lenas, Medusas, even like a Monkey King. So I guess these ranged or semi-ranged carries that need to be right-clicking people. I guess SF hits that mark a little bit as well. We've seen a fair amount of magic damage Shadow Fiend come out as well, though. So this could be a shift for LGD to just move SF into the hands of Nothing to Say instead of Arme.
Let's see, yeah, I kind of agree. Like, I don't think you maybe want to play the SF in that role when you see this Pugna pick, so potential to kind of flex around. I'm also curious to see if Pugna, like, is it a mid laner? Like, you know, in the past it's been Thompson mid Pugna, but it's a hero that also has been played a lot in the support role. Like, Saxo was playing it a lot in the 4 role as well for some of his past teams, and including his OG days.
A very good Nyx response here. Great position 4. Pick up the Pango, so it looks like it's probably going to be the SF safe lane with a Pango mid, but flexible still going into that last pick for them.
Agreed. I like the way the lanes look with that. They have gone double melee with their supports, but I think when you've got an SF, you almost want to have that melee support. Something like an Undying there does just kind of limit what they can do with their offlane. You're going to feel like Nyx +1 is, you know, traditional offlane is more, the melee heroes can be kind of weak there. But now we get an idea of what OG's draft wants to do. The Void pick feels a bit of a response, though. I don't think it's necessarily like looking for this like crazy synergy with the draft. You've got okay damage from like a Razor Pugna plus the ET synergy with the primal, with the ulti, the split. But yeah, it's a great hero for initiating in, locking down someone like a Pango, and kind of negating the Rolling Thunder.
Yeah, pretty handy to have. I guess Pugna and Razor are going to be the ones that deal with Tombstone, try and kill that off in a team fight. Chrono the Rolling Thunder, Chrono the SF, and dump that Razor ET damage in there. But I'm still wondering, like you mentioned, where is Pugna going? Is it mid? Is it support? We still don't know until these final picks. But it looks like LGD considering it as a support hero, removing the Invoker and the Ember Spirit from the hands of BZM.
I think given what we just saw with Nyx Pengo, it makes more sense to do it as support. Instantly, it's like, oh, this is kind of a scary Pugna game. Like, you don't want to really play into either of these heroes. Pengo's just really good at getting on top of you, chain stunning you, preventing the life drain, so support Pugna does probably make the most sense given what we're seeing.
Broodmother ban from OG. Don't want to get cheesed by Faith Bian. And very likely just going to be another offlane hero ban here. And maybe look towards that at Mars. Or the Centaur. Someone who can make the jump and play with this Nyx and Pango.
Yeah.
I mean, do you want a ranged offlaner, though, with the Nyx?
It
Or
feels
like
nice. Like, the Vipers, the Nature's Prophets do feel pretty good here. And with the Pengo mid, like, you don't mind getting a bit greedier with your offlaner because you've got this mid laner who can be a bit more selfless and be the kind of, fulfill the offlane role of being a team fighter, being an initiator.
Even the Lesh, right? We've seen the Lesh against Black Hole. No different to the Chrono. You've got spells that can go through it. Lesh Nyx is a pretty decent lane as well with your double stuns.
Yeah, stuff like Veno comes to mind too. Like, you start thinking about what you want to play into the Void. Veno's very annoying for Faceless Void with all the damage over time. It's just a hard lane to farm against.
And it's a great hero to buy utility on, like a 4-staff against Razor. Get some heals up on your Venomancer. That's a really good shout.
Seconds remaining.
LGD. Gonna have to pick this one blind, though. It still seems pretty safe to put your Pango mid. Shadow Fiend safe lane. I don't think they want to do too much in the way of swapping things around at this point.
Yeah. I think the Veno and the Nature's Prophet too, I quite like here. Just these range heroes that really pressure the Void in lane, make it hard for him to farm, and push the tempo pretty well. Like, I think with a Shadow Fiend Pango, you've got this nice draft that can take a lot of early objectives, and
Good
there
call.
it is.
Comes out in the end. I think maybe like another possibility was maybe a Slardar or something, but I think the Venomancer works wonderfully there for LGD, rounding out their draft very nicely. And OG, what is the BZM hero? What's it going to be?
Seconds
Not
remaining.
much time. They've got to think quick, and I think they're also probably thinking, like, can we swap these lanes? Like, if I'm them, I'm almost like wondering where do we send this Void? Against Veno sounds rough. Against SF, also not ideal. BZM hero Magnus. So
Select your hero.
this is a bit of what we saw, I feel like, yesterday from at least the OG games that we covered. They were playing these kind of slower, more turtley drafts, like very greedy, 3 farming cores, and they're waiting for their opponents to make a mistake. They're happy to give their opponents early towers, early Roshan, and just play for these late game timings.
I mean, they have some seriously overwhelming team fight here with RP, Chrono, Earth Splitter. There's tons of stuff. With the amplification from Empower and the Natural Order, there's a lot for OG to play with once you get out of the laning stage and past mid-game. That's for damn sure. LGD with oppressive lanes. Venomancer, Nyx, SF Undying. Even just this Pango in the mid lane can have a nice time against the Magnus.
Jawek giving some final orders before he steps out with the draft ending, and probably telling his team they need to play fast. They need to do well in this laning stage because, yeah, at some point OG's overwhelming team fight, and as well as the scaling that they bring to the table, is going to outscale and basically beat down LGD come late game. Heroes like Venomancer, Pangolier, you don't really want to go too late into the game with this kind of a draft.
Hey, because LGD, they want to pick up that tempo from laning stage and almost snowball their way towards victory. If they can knock down a couple of those early towers through Plague Wards and the team fight from Nothing to Say and Jin-Q in particular, it could look like a swift victory for them, but OG with a lot to fight back with here. Game 1 of this best of 2 in the group stage for TI 2022 about to get underway. And this is an absolute banger of a match and a series to build up our day with here. So much Dota 2 action going on as we get ourselves straight on into Game 1.
This should be a fun one. I mean, 2 teams that everybody has as potential like TI winners. I think when you think of like who most people put at the, taking that TI championship, I think LGD, OG, Spirit are probably the 3 most talked about names, with 2 of those teams winning majors throughout the year, and then the third, PSG LGD, being a staple of the Dota 2 scene, winning numerous LAN events, third-party tournaments, and other than the Arlington Major, they've actually had Spirit's number throughout the year. So we'll see if they can bounce back after that poor start to day 1. They've definitely got themselves a solid draft here, I feel like, in game number 1 against OG.
Yeah, absolutely do. And Jinkyu going to start with an early D ward. Tiger with an identical move to what he's made in several of his previous games. It's that move from Dire side towards the Radiant bottom jungle. He loves that staircase, and it looks like LGD have watched a few replays. They knew it was coming, and they're already prepped with a sentry and a couple of heroes waiting atop the ramp for him. A good start already.
We'll see if there's any kind of lane swaps or anything. The big question for me was, like, do you consider sending Void to the offlane? I think the SF matchup is just not much better than the Venom, so maybe a case where they just hope that Yuragi can play catch-up Dota. He will have Empower to play around later on too, so early rune battles here. They go in onto Yuragi, who loses the right-click battle to Wise Undying, and will take a bit of damage as well.
And chased back. Forced a time walk early on as well. It looks like he's even thinking about the lane swap. Pretends to go to the top lane, and he's starting to wander down bottom. So they are going to go for a bit of a shift here, OG.
Yep.
But LGD have lane wards. LGD will see bottom lane when he arrives. Maybe even see him in that bottom rune spot if he traverses down there. They'll absolutely know what's going on here.
If I'm LGD, I'm fine with these lanes. Like, you already see, if they wanted to swap as well, they should already be moving. I think you're saying, you know, Void has a bad lane regardless. The SF one is just slightly less bad, but given that Void's playing the off lane and it's going to arrive late, SF is going to already have built up a bit of a CS advantage. This bottom lane should still favor LGD.
Okay, another situation where support's getting a little bit of farm. Misha getting a last hit there, a bit of experience before Yuragi arrives at that bottom lane. And level 1 in the Nether Ward. I try and contend with the bit of spam coming out of Armor Engine Q, but there's a stun into one raise. Looking for the short range one, but couldn't get in range. Yuragi with no time walk though, just gonna get chased down and right-clicked for first blood for LGD.
And they leave it for the SF. That's so nice for them. He'd use time walk just to undo some of the raise damage in lane, and that level 1 time walk is such a long cooldown that LGD are able to punish them. This is kind of what I touched upon, like, there is no good side lane for the Void. I mean, the mid lane's also bad. There's just no good lane for this Void to go to. He's just in for a rough time. They're picking him for the mid to late game team fights, but it does look like Yuragi's going to be suffering.
Jinkyu fake pumps the stun, a deny on the Nether Ward, in fact, at the end there from OG. Yeah, difficult lane bottom, and top lane they're being dived as well. Amar is about to drop here. No deny from Tiger. Just a tombstone and a gale from Y and Faith Beyond. And a big juicy wave arriving on this tier 1 means Razor needs to be quickly back into lane.
And that's what feels so good about this LGD draft is, like, the Venom's really happy playing against a Razor. It's, you know, often in the past been considered one of the good counter picks to Razor if you are playing it in lane. So they've got 2 side lanes, regardless of how OG, you know, like laned it, they were going to be at an advantage on the LGD side.
Yeah, and then by extension, they know these supports aren't going to be rotating into mid, so Pango against Magnus is going to be a bit of a farm trade. As BZM, nice play there with a shockwave to secure the water rune. He is about a wave ahead of Nothing to Say, but not a massive gap between them, and probably no real outplays to be made here, right? You've got Swash to contend with any skewer play. There's going to be hit and creeps for the first 6 minutes.
Yeah, the thing is, a farm battle, one that Magnus is more than happy to play and win because of all that bonus damage, seeing on 96 damage to the Pango 66. See how BZM fares here. But it should just be a pretty farm game until these supports start thinking about rotating.
Oh, OG with a good bit of damage onto Armate.
Yeah.
Needs some tangos from Jinkyu. Curious to see how that all played out. Looks like it started with a Jinkyu go with a stun and an attempt on Yuragi. Gotta be wary of that Nether Ward. It's one of those unexpected tools sometimes. Oh God!
Boy!
Okay. Well,
Okay.
yeah.
He's thinking he's got time walk, but the quick raises just blow him up. Triple raise and you're done.
On top lane,
Top lane,
Tombstone
yeah.
taken down, but Amar dead again. 4-0 start. 1 kill goes
Tiger's
the way of
feasting,
OG.
though.
It's Tiger, the big punches. 142 bonus damage. Loses the buff, though, so why?
Oh, no.
Back in the trees.
Oh, he
He'll
turned!
get the kill. Dies to the tower in the end, so a 2 for 2 in the top lane. Massive fight between the 2 squads there.
I'm pretty sure Undying lives if he keeps running, but he turned because he thought he had the better attack animation and would attack first, but the ET just gets the punch in before the Undying could hit him, so Oh, unfortunate for him. TP mid though, dying as a support. Always mid laners are happy. Gets the free bottle refill, and there's a lot of creeps that were waiting for the Venom in the top lane. So he TP'd into like a double creep wave to farm.
Oh, very nice. Very nice for him. Where's Y wandering now? You've got interesting obs ward placed there. That just gives a little glimpse of vision.
The kill bottom. Yep.
Oh, the raise
Triple
lands.
raise. Yep. Hit the double close range, and then he backed off for the long range. And Yuragi trying to punish, needs a lucky bash though, and he's just not getting it. The level 1 bash, only 12%, and he's no spirit breaker.
No, he's definitely not. Well, Amar dead once more. Faith Beyond and Y, they return back to that lane, collapse on the Razor, while Tiger, well, he was elsewhere. Difficult times for OG.
Yeah, all these kills going LGD's way in the lane stage, but at the same time, I think the net worth indicator is kind of where you have to look a bit. You don't mind giving up some kills if you're getting farmed, but they are being out-farmed, particularly the Razor, I think, having a rough time here. That's a TP back to lane again. It's definitely at least a little bit of a concern if you're an OG fan.
Yeah, it's BZM making the calls like, just drag it out, it's fine, I'm getting my farm. I'll get my items. What kind of progression will we see from BZM though? Is this one of those, Echo Saber Magnuses with a big damage? Do we go Blink with Force utility? What do you reckon?
I'm expecting more of utility. You've got Razor as well as Void on your team. I think playing around the, your Blink Skewer initiations is going to make a lot more sense. For now, he's just leveling up in power though, so. But I think like Blink, even BKB type build is going to be what makes the most sense this game.
Okay, yeah, well, a DD root gathered up by Y, throws the Tombstone and the Rolling Thunder into BZM, tries to skewer away, but nothing to say. He's got his number and tracks back onto the Magnus.
That's a kill in a mid laner there.
Oh.
And he gets the +1. Great find from nothing to say. Yeah, I think for BZM going for that rune, he knew he could get there before the Pengo, so he kind of, he forces Undying to pick it up, but then you're just giving Undying like all these right clicks plus the Rolling Thunder. He had no real escape from it, so bit of a overly aggressive play there, I think, from the Magnus. Maybe not recognizing that Pengo was already level 6.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like they've got a great way as OG to relieve this pressure. Amara just dying again top. You got Faith Beyond with his Urn, using his charges and the poison attacks to take down Razor for the 4th time this game. Really a struggle in these lanes from OG, and this is the snowball that we were expecting and LGD kind of required in the first 10 minutes. What's the response? Like, there's no, Earth Spirit Tusk kind of hero. There's no real form of team fight or initiation until OG get levels and items.
The response is to hit some creeps. And power up your Void, stack some camps, jungle it up, and avoid fighting LGD. You've got, a Venno who's going to have full control of this top lane. He went for 2-2 before deciding to level up Plague Wards. I like it. And also got a value point in Poison Nova. That's how he got that kill. I feel like so many Vennos skip Poison Nova, but great to see him go for that. But here's the move from OG. Oh my god, that Pango.
But Pango with a big swash and a Rolling Thunder while Arme skewered across into the RP from BZM. Jinkyu already dead after dropping low under the tower, and OG enough damage to bring down the Nyx and the Shadow Fiend while not losing anyone yet. Misha heals up, back off his wand, and Y getting chased down with a shockwave and a play forward from Yuragi. They get the kills they need. 10-5 now, and OG a bit of a response, looking for nothing to say. He's got no swatch, no Rolling Thunder. Shield Crash gives him a ton of block on that damage incoming, and Jinkyu with the 3-man stun. Holds back OG, but they are not giving up on this. Chasing back into the tree line. Finally, Misha will die to nothing to say, but a skewer onto Jinkyu, opening up a potential kill on the Nyx. BZM wants it desperately, but now Faith Beyond's joined the fray. Battling away onto the Magnus, looking for the pick-off, and he'll find it with his dominating streak going. And Jinkyu, he lines a stun up onto the Faithless Void. No stuns coming from LGD though, so a time walk back allows the Void to slip away from their grasps.
Once the Venom shows up, the party's over for OG, but up until that point, it was a stellar team fight for them. It looked like Pango was going to eat them alive. He had multiple swashbuckles that connected on like 2-3 heroes and got them incredibly low, but he didn't have the ability to finish any of them off, and OG just kind of were taking LGD down one by one and going from one kill to the next, just bringing superior numbers. Something I didn't expect them to make such an aggressive move. That was like a level 5 Faceless Void taking a 4v4 fight under an enemy tier 1 tower. That's kind of unheard of, but that's the OG way.
Yeah, it's mental stuff. You know, just OG with this overwhelming knowledge of team fight maths or something like this. Okay, we have this hero, this spell, we can do this and dive into tower. It's all fine. Knowing what's going on. But as soon as they respawn, LGD, they're back out on the map, hunting BZM with the Pango and the Nyx. Can't catch up to the Magnus quite yet. But this is just the barrier in front of Arme's SF. They've given him some stacks in the jungle. He's cleared through them. Still has a large camp to farm and mid lane to push out. So a lot of focus here for the Shadow Fiend's farm now for LGD.
Yeah, the Mask of Madness really saying, I'm going to look to guarantee and scale into the late game, not going for any kind of early BKB. Wanting to play that true late game hard carry. I mean, you've got Pengo Venu, you've got so much ability to pressure these early towers and parts of the map. As mid lane, they'll find Misha.
Good catch. Take down the Pugna. Can't really use this as a platform to go do anything else, just to kill for kill's sake. But
Luzian dying. Any bash? Oh, first any Chronos. Oh, he didn't believe in the bash. Yeah, why tips him? It was literally like 0.1 second on the TP, so he didn't believe in the bash, so he just insta-casted Chrono with the right click.
LGD gonna get some recourse though. Take down Tiger in the bottom lane. I was thinking it's a bit of an awkward spot for Faith Beyond. You know, he TP'd bottom to get involved with that fight, which was nice, but then he got a bit stuck in this bottom lane. Not really where you want your Veno to be. You'd much rather him pressuring the opposing tier 1. But the fact that they get this tower now means there's a lot of space to invade this Ancients area, scout out a stack, and Jin-Q, he spotted BZM and Misha.
Yeah, and playing against Empower Magnus, he's a hero that wants to farm these stacks. They do see Jin-Q here. He's on a Sentry Ward, so they're trying to bait this a bit.
He gets off his carapace though. Skewer back, already spending the RP and the shockwave, and BZM close to death while nothing to say, thinking about the play forward, has another swashbuckle to finish off Misha's Pugna. LGD bring the numbers, 4 members of the Chinese squad in the mid lane and looking to pressure tier 1 again.
Yeah, they can get this early tier 1 tower, fighting it. I think anywhere the Veno goes, you just can't really contest if you're OG. Maybe with like the big team fight ultimates, but Chrono's down, RP's down now. So this should just be a free tier 1 for the Venomancer, and very likely he goes for that top tier 1 tower that you were talking about. Just making, you know, once you TP bottom to secure that fight, you may as well stick around, get the tower there, your TP's on cooldown, and then he takes the tier 1 mid along their way to the top lane. So just efficient moves coming out from Faith Beyond.
Take control of this map. Jin-Q now putting himself in that top jungle, trying to see if OG are gonna launch a counter attack and defend top, but with Void TPing out, looks like he's giving up any idea of defending. Just get what farm you can, get some utilization out of this Hand of Midas and the Empower. Keep scaling.
Yeah, they need RP, Blink Dagger before they can really try and defend objectives, I think, which they're just about to get. They're going to lose ET down bottom, PSG LGD. They make the move top, but it was, you know, just enough heroes to take the tier 1 tower while still aggressively using Vendetta to find a kill down bottom at the same time. So they're just doing a great job playing multiple lanes, not overcommitting resources to one part of the map. When you've got this Veno, you don't need to bring 5 to push a tower. Just do it with 2 or 3 and look for these kills elsewhere.
They're going for it. Yeah. With the Undying and the Veno, they feel like they've got enough damage through the Shadow Fiend. Just rip through Roshan. 13 minutes in, we're going to have Aegis here for LGD.
Yeah. We'll give them... The Aegis is nice, but this also just means you take Rosh this early, that second Rosh with a free shot comes up that much earlier as well, so...
Yeah.
Because this is not an Aegis that's going to... It'll allow them to play super aggressive far from the enemy side of the map, take these... Probably a tier 2 tower with it, which gets them the enemy outpost, but they're just playing their draft at a pace that OG cannot match because of... Really, just the greed. They've got, you know, they've got a Midas on Void. I think that's the right item pickup, but they've got 3 farming cores. BZM does have the Blink Dagger, and he's going BKB next, so he's trying to be the selfless core, but he's looking around like, well, my Void and, you know, my Razor, they're not really ready to fight, at least not until Razor is BKB.
Yeah, all 3 of the Dire cores hovering around 3,000 net worth. While you look at the SF, even the Venomancer, 7.5 grand to Faith Beyond's name. Very quickly closing in on a Wraith Pact on top of the Spirit Vessel, so going double utility here on Veno.
Wraith Pact feels really nice.
OG gonna smoke though. 3 heroes sat behind Yuragi.
Carapace.
Yeah, Jin-Q's out of there.
It's hard for OG. They're trying to find pickoffs. Even with these smokes, they don't really want a full 5-on-5 fight. go back to the Wraith pack. It just feels so nice because OG's draft is so like 5v5 team fight heavy. It's going to mitigate so much damage, and when you've got this gold lead to go with it, just makes it so dangerous for OG, and they're getting picked apart now.
Yeah, good patience from Jinkyu, waiting for his team to arrive. Even holding that stun as Amar was doing a few little shimmies to try and dodge it. But the next assassin, ever patient. This map starts to become pretty small for OG. You know, the greed not paying off just yet. It's a 7k lead for LGD and limited places to farm for Yuragi.
This is where the Nyx assassin feels so nice because you can be pushing out like multiple lanes with Veno, with Pengo, and Nyx is just going to be vendettaing around the map trying to find the kills because OG are going to go. They're going to go wherever LGD are not. They're not looking to defend against this Veno. They're looking to farm the opposite side of the map, and Nyx is the perfect hero to go and hunt down enemy farmers.
Yeah, and we often joke about the farming Aegis. Usually that occurs when, you know, a team isn't really able to go and push or anything, but this is literally just Shadow Fiend making sure he has a second life if he does get caught out or a sneaky smoke comes out of OG. He just planted himself in his Ancients, farming away up to 9,000 net worth, but the jump in from BZM top, catching out the Veno into the life drain. Nothing to say, it's taken down Amar already though, as Faith Bian falling near that tier 1 top. LGD, you're gonna move in quickly though. Time to dive. BZM swashbuckled down. The life drain won't heal him up anywhere near enough, and nothing to say with why. They've got the gap close onto Misha. Pugner's stranded, and Jinkyu secures it with a stun.
Tiger's still in the neighborhood playing around a vision and ward. He gets stunned up, still has a TP out. And they know there's a ward up here. Yeah, they're going to get the D ward, and they're going to find Tiger. Impale up in a second, so they'll finish off at 4th hero. Not a good fight for OG. It was a fight they chose to take because they knew they were creating a lot of space for the Void down bottom, who did get the tier 1 tower and is getting a lot of farm, but seeding up so many kills to a Shadow Fiend plus the tier 2 tower is still not going to feel worth it if you're OG.
I mean, the panel, we're talking about Arme needing to show up in some of these games. He's got a lot of farm here. We'll see how much impact he can have. Really defending himself with the next item, BKB. Try and withstand some of OG's teamfight prowess.
Definitely Zhao Wei with the draft is showing up, as is Faith Beyond. His Veno has been the kind of tempo setter.
Tier 2, their prize to claim in the mid lane. Having already taken top and the outpost. Just a systematic dismantling of OG. And a high ground tombstone leading into an impale from Nyx. Misha, half HP from just zombies. Drops down the Verdurous Dale. A bit of heal there, but just OG retreating. Every step is a slow shuffle back towards their base.
Give up the tier 2 tower, unable to fight. The RP was still on cooldown. And it's, even with the RP, it's so hard to get off. Playing in a Venom with these like blink initiators can sometimes feel really rough.
Arme's found his new home. Enemy Ancients. Get some more neutral items in his hands.
Yep.
And I'm assuming BKB is about to be delivered.
Yeah. Very methodical from LGD. It's one of these classic games where you get first Aegis as early as possible, and you use it to take these outer tier 2 towers, get outposts, and they're going to maybe get a Mar here as well. Carapace going to find him and gets a 2-man impale.
That's just beautiful, isn't it?
Yeah.
Really gorgeous from Jinkyu, and the exact move that you were talking about. They're pushing mid, they're farming enemy Ancients, pushing bottom. Every lane there's a hero from LGD showing. So OG, that bit of false sense of security, thinking, okay, we've got room top, we've got a bit of space, and there's just a Nyx waiting for you.
Well, they're pinging out now. Yuragi and BZM, who are trying to get some farm here. Faith Beyond just going to push them out of the triangle, but fortunately for OG, they've already farmed it up, so getting what scraps of gold they can get, and they may look to take this team fight. They're grouping up here.
They're kind of ready for this, though. LGD in the vicinity as Jinkyu. He's not going to get caught out by anything here until the bashes from Yuragi, but they've got the mech from the Undying. The Chrono lands in onto the Undying and Shadow Fiend. Jinkyu finally dies, but Yuragi and BZM, they're dropping so quickly. Tiger and Misha trapped in the tree line. Nothing to say. Slices through one. And Tiger with a TP home, successfully escaping. But LGD, another swift, domineering performance in... I struggle to call that a team fight. That is a curb stomping from LGD.
Yeah, they just were so well split up. Like, even with 2 heroes in the Chronosphere, Faith Beyond, the real damage dealer, he's positioned on this, like, high ground cliff in some trees, just throwing out spells, vessels, plague wards, and being an absolute pest. We'll see it all here again, but Nyx Assassin, being as farmed as he is, and the front lines just using these carapaces so well. And yeah, to the top side, you see this Venom. The Venom positioning just absolutely perfect this fight.
Yeah. Yeah, right on top of that cliff top. Yeah, maxed out carapace on the Nyx. Very irritating here. As we saw, like, BZM's move there, where he tried to blink past the Nyx. He was looking for that +1 to try and skewer RP. But LGD's positioning there, their spread of heroes, there weren't even a pairing of heroes to catch together. They finally got an opportunity when SF stepped next to the Undying to get a Chrono, but then they were lacking damage, lacking heroes. OG spend quite a lot there for no return. We'll grab their outpost top. But LGD, they don't relinquish control of the map. You know, every inch of the map is worth a fight for them. They can come up, deward, get the outpost back in their hands, and start thinking about this next Roshan, potentially up in just under a minute.
Yeah, having second Roche spawn so early, and that's so much the value of killing Roche at 13 minutes in as early as they did, is they're thinking, you know, Roche number 2 is when we can, if things go according to plan, which they have, and you keep on getting all these good fights, you keep pushing the tempo, you're going to be ready to go high ground with second Aegis. It also involves a free shard for Shadow Fiend, who's such an amazing shard carrier that it feels like PSG LGD are going to be posing a real threat to OG's high ground defense.
Yeah, it's one of these kind of smokes, kind of needed from OG. They need that element of surprise. Wrapping around and stomping, attempting to catch Nothing to Say, but he's got his shard, so the quick roll up and the disengage from LGD. Nobody getting caught.
Yeah, Nyx did a good job. Popped a Mars smoke and then just backed off, and they knew Nyx was somewhere nearby, but they weren't able to find him once again. It's one of those things where if Nyx pops these smokes and dies, like, that's almost doing your job as well. And speaking of doing his job, he's found the Faceless Void, pre-BKB. Ooh.
He'll go for Misha instead. A freebie there on the Pugna. And Nothing to Say beyond godlike. 10-0-7 on this Pangolier right now.
He was trying to carapace like a Maelstrom proc there maybe on the Faceless Void. Although it didn't look like Void just wasn't getting any Maelstrom procs.
Bad RNG paying off.
Yeah.
Oh, 1 minute for Roshan. Big fan of LGD here, coming and dewarding the enemy Ancient, still holding that Observer Ward on the high ground in the top jungle area. And these notice me pings, you know, why, bringing attention to areas of the map that he wants his team to be playing into. It looks like
It's a big kill if
Arme,
they can get it.
he gets off his BKB. Chrono comes along with a static link, and Amar's walked into the Chronosphere here, so maybe with the heals we are dying to buy time for Arme to escape. Gets him a bit of distance. Requiem, is it in time? No, not quite. In comes Nothing to Say, but he's bouncing off the cliffs. They'll finish off the Razor, and Uragi, time walking back, tries to TP, but the zombies and Jinkyu's jump will secure them. 2 kills in the trade for Arme's SF.
Yeah. They make sure they still get the good trade, but losing the Shadow Fiend, you know, not quite according to plan, but they are still biding their time, waiting for this next Roche to respawn, and they're not done hunting quite yet. Tiger will TP out from the trees unless the bash hits him, but Nothing to Say guesses wrong.
Faith Beyond tracking back, nearly keeping tabs on him.
Ah, yes, classic. DD spawn by the Roche pit.
Yeah. That's just normal.
Yep.
SF 15 seconds away from respawning. But how are we looking on OG's ultis? Like 100 seconds for Chrono? They still have RP? They can contest this? Can they?
I mean, they have the right heroes for it. It's just whether they have the farm and the ability to kind of contest into, like, the Veno vision with the wards. Will you even be able to blink in? They're using the Spirit to keep scanning it out, but there we go. Bottle up the DD rune. We'll see if he holds on to it or if he uses it for this Roche. It looks like he wants to save it for a team fight.
Oh, goodness. Yeah, look at how quickly they kill it, even without the DD.
Dire's top tower is under
That's some serious pain. And, you know, level 17 SF means we've got the level 15 talent, so we're going to have plenty of ability to start pressuring these objectives. Going high ground's always the tough Aster. You've got a Magnus with Blink Skewer, going for an Aether Lens even to go with it.
Yeah, shard on the SF though with Aegis and the bottle DD you mentioned. Also, I like the play there for Jinkyu. We see it quite often, just launching out a seemingly random stun into the dying Roshan, but he's making sure there's no blink steal or attempted sneaky play from OG.
Yeah.
Radiant's bottom
Some
tower
support
is
comes
under
running
attack.
in for a suicide to deny Aegis play.
Yeah.
Dire
Swinging
are
bot.
scanning.
BZM has used his blink. It's on cooldown for 10 seconds. But Yuragi is... Oh, he's under a Radiant Ward. They perfectly see the Faceless Void, the stun, the chain disables. They've caught out the Void, but is there enough damage to finish him before Time Walk? Nothing to say. 3 connections with his Rolling Thunder. Perfectly done off the back of Jinkyu's initiation.
Dire's
Absolutely flawless movement around the map from LGD. It feels like this game, and they're going to press forward. Double damage SF. Could go for the high ground play now. They've got a creep wave coming down mid. It's not the easiest lane to push. Sometimes teams want to prioritize these side lanes, but with Plague Wards and the ability to kind of keep OG back, feels like this should go pretty seamlessly. They've already forced out the glyph. Just that first creep wave. Perhaps a bit preemptive from OG, because now LGD are going to look to pressure.
Radiant's bottom tower.
400 damage a hit.
Oof.
Arme popping away at this tier 3.
Yeah.
Tombstone on the high ground as well as BZM. Not sure if that was an attempt, but he gives it a crack with the initiation.
Yeah, the SF range, he's got the Dragon Lance, he's just able to position far enough back with the support of the Plague Wards. The Plague Wards make it really hard for this Magnus to get in.
Well, they get rid of the DD, Blink Yule's in, but the turnaround from Jinkyu, good force staff from Tiger. Gets BZM away from danger in the meantime, but their racks have fallen. 26 minutes in, your first melee claimed up by LGD. And it really is this algorithmic play from them, you know, from laning stage through to now. It's just been toppling buildings one after the other.
Under attack.
The Void did get out of the base to Midas a creep and is going to have a BKB for this next push that is almost surely coming. I feel like if you're LGD, you're just eyeing off that top lane of Rax. They don't have Pengo. Pengo's gone for the bottom rune. If OG take a fight right now... Oh, the window's closing though, and they're being jumped on.
Yeah, scouted and caught out by Jinkyu's Nyx. He goes in for a stun and then quickly runs. Trying to keep vision here over Tiger with another Yules, but the catch from BZM sending Jinkyu back towards tier 3, but you've got the poison over the Plague Walls and all the damage from the Venom. Well, Arme's outside of the Chrono. Yuragi tried just to control up Nothing to Say, while Amar diving in onto the SF, draining all of his damage. Yuragi back in, but Arme's got this Mask Commanders going, the BKB's up, getting bashed in the meantime, needs a bit of help from his team, but Yuragi focusing SF. They've lost too much, they can't finish him off. Arme survives, and their cores have all died. GG is called, and game 1, it's over.
Yeah, the carries on the front line just didn't have the supports. They're going to go for some last RPs here, but Pengo got the entire back line. His Blink Rolling Thunder in with the roll-up. He was just chain stunning these supports, taking ET out of the fight, taking Pugna out of the fight. And as a result, like the Void didn't have any real backup. He tried to get a Chrono multiple heroes, only caught the Pengo initially. And unfortunately for OG, it was just a kind of greedy draft that got heavily punished. Like PSG LGD had all the tools to play this fast game of Dota and not give OG the time they needed to take it to the late game and come online.
Yeah, I mean, OG may be a little rattled after their 2-0 loss against EG, but this is prime LGD. This is absolutely draft to laning to itemization to execution. Just 10 out of 10 across the board from LGD, it felt like. Not a single error or slip up from them.
Yeah, and it's something I feel like this draft was like they had room for error, and it was like a kind of easy to play draft in some ways as long as their lanes go well. But the lanes should go well. Like they've got both SF and Veno, these ranged cores with matchups against Razor as well as Void. Like range cores against Razor, you feel great. You've got no easy static lanes. Against the Void, there's no easy lane for him to go to. So it just felt like OG's lanes were not set up to do well whatsoever, and this Venom pick was just absolutely perfect for the LGD draft.
Yeah, then you have the mid lane, which is a complete wash. Both players getting a decent amount of farm, but Nothing to Say ends up 12-0-2 because he has side lanes to play into. If your side lanes are dominating and that lane bleed starts to happen where it all breaks down, supports are rotating, the Pango with the chaos he creates with a short cooldown Rolling Thunder, he is constantly involved in every single team fight. Whereas, Magnus is like a 2-minute cooldown on RP, he's got a long time to wait.
Yeah. I think if you're OG, you're going back to the drafting board a bit. I mean, there was definitely some question marks when we saw things like the Pugna come out. Maybe they've had a lot of success with it in some of their scrims. It's hard to fully know what the idea is there, since it obviously didn't work out this game. But just in general, the greed that came out, like it didn't really feel like they had a playmaking mid to allow them to pick Razor with Faceless Void. Like Razor Void, the amount of greed there almost requires you to pick like some kind of mid laner that doesn't need farm, and then they pick a Magnus. Like I understand the synergy and why they get it. It's a good team fight. It gives them a late game win condition, but it's just another hero that needs to take up a lot of farm on the map and doesn't make plays for them, which was desperately needed.
Yeah, thinking back to the draft, I could absolutely see a BZM Invoker being, a stellar pick and having a great performance there. But it was a last stage ban from LGD, I believe. You just imagine an Alacrity on your Faceless Void, the EMP Tornado to kind of zone and control team fights to buy that bit of time for your greedier cause. But very well drafted, and that decision making from LGD brings them to victory in game 1 here in this best of 2. A quick peek at the stats there. I think nothing to say. The standout KDA. But MVP wise, what do you reckon?
I think probably Faith Beyond, his Veno. I mean, that lane, I think he was the one who, there was that moment bottom lane where the tier 1 tower dive happened and things were starting to like, oh, OG's level 5 Faceless Void getting kills, and then Faith Beyond shows up and he's like, wagging his finger like, nah, get out outside the map. And then he takes the tier 1 mid. I mean, as a team they do all this, but I just feel like he's the one who, made the moves, and he was kind of the key hero that enabled it.
Yeah, he was the pillar to their success, the anchor. And then we have Faith Beyond, 9-2 and 11. Even just that move to bottom lane to win a team fight, take tier 1, and then it was really just a simple move across the map. You called it the sweep from tier 1 bot to mid to top to jungle to outpost. It just seemed like every domino fell in place perfectly for LGD in that game.
Yeah, I think games like this always feel good because you feel like from the start you've been set up to do well based on your draft, and then you execute your draft. Going to game 2 for PSLG, I think the key thing is not getting overly confident, because I don't think they're going to have the same kind of draft edge. Definitely expect OG to make the adjustments and to go a bit less greedy and just to have a bit more of a well-rounded draft when it comes to the next game.
Yeah, definitely a morale boost, though, for LGD, though, picking up a victory here after a disappointing day 1. We'll see how OG comes back, though, as game 2 will be right on its way after this quick break.
victory. With our shields and our swords, we temper our courage. With our shields and our swords, we're making history. With those who make the game a reality, we're the vanguard. We're with the best. Let's raise our shields.
And we're back here into our Group A series between LGD and OG. LGD taking Game 1 very convincingly, and a lot of work to do for OG here to come back in Game 2, gods.
Yeah, a lot of work starting with the drop, but I think also just, mentally, first game of the day for them. They've not had the early wake up as some of the other teams in Group B did, but after a pretty solid day one, I think OG at least have other ways they can go. And I think for OG, they're a team that often, they don't try and dominate and crush the group stage. They want to try their different heroes, their different ideas. This time around, they had some idea with the Pugna, and probably something I don't think we'll see again in game number 2.
So yeah, you go 4-0 and you drop a series to EG, take your foot off a little bit, think about developing the meta a little bit more, looking towards the playoffs and stuff like that. But you've always got to be afraid though, right? 2 teams from each group dropping out of TI. You do not want to get caught down at the bottom come day 3, day 4.
Yeah. Oh, and I think for these 2 teams, they don't want to be even caught in the lower bracket to start things off. Having that double life, just you can feel a lot more relaxed playing Dota when you start in the upper bracket. There's room for slippage and messing up along the way. But at the same time, yeah, obviously bottom 2 is definitely where you don't want to be.
Yeah, and maybe a bit more confidence. In Group A, we were kind of looking at thinking there's more of a separation between the maybe tiers or echelons of teams, where you expect LGD, OG, along with your EGs, RNG, and Liquid, who are all performing very well, to be up at the top. Whereas, hoping glad they're not in Group B, where everyone is very, very tight. Everyone's very closely matched over there. It's going to become a bit of a slogfest come day 3, day 4 for tiebreakers and stuff if we come to that.
Oh, it's definitely. Group A's, definitely started to look like there was a top and a bottom, but then you have teams like Liquid who have really shown up, alongside, obviously, EG, they're 6-0. And then you've got the Hakores and Gaming Gladiators who are kind of like, middle of the pack, 3-3. Can take games off anybody, I feel like. So I think Group A is surprising some people in that some of those teams people had pegged as more, middle or bottom teams are doing much better than expected.
Wow. Shao 8, deep in thought. I wonder what he's thinking.
Yeah, he looks super focused. Okay, yeah. There we go. He's made up his mind.
I'm hungry. It's like, I want the Big Mac, I want the McSpicy, what are we having for lunch today? No, he's
they're in Singapore. There's better food than McDonald's. Come on, Gary.
You are right, but I have to say, I tweeted about it the other day, but there is one thing that Southeast Asian McDonald's does that nowhere else does. It's the spicy chicken thigh sandwich, and it is just the most beautiful fast food piece of engineering I've ever encountered.
It's so good. I miss it every day.
A McSpicy, it's god tier. But no, you're right. There's plenty more. Chicken rice and chili crab and all that stuff. I was very, very glad to get acclimatized to the Singapore time zone a couple of days back.
Well, we've got our apples being eaten. Nuragi has other ideas about his healthy food choices. And game 2 is underway here as OG and PSG LGD going to be racking their brains for a second time when it comes to the draft.
Oh, Primal Beast being let through. Marcy, Undying, Clock, and Chen, all the options to be banned out. And OG going for this Oracle. I feel like they've done this again previously. They like testing Misha on these unconventional heroes in terms of meta picks.
And last time they picked Oracle, it was also against the Primal Beast. So maybe having that save against the BKB Pulverize is just something OG want to prioritize. So we'll see if that's going to be the answer here as LGD quickly snag Death Prophet. I think based on last game and based on what they've seen, they're probably looking at OG and they're like, OG's just going super greedy. All their drafts are more late game oriented. They like to play more and more on these carries. Let's pick these tempo drafts that take towers that really put OG on the back foot. You don't really want to try and match their greed with your own.
Now, I'm wondering what the pairing with this Oracle is going to be. They had it with a Terrorblade previously. And just looking back, Death Prophet, a good pick for LGD in its own regard, but also a little bit of a block pick because Oracle Death Prophet has always been that really sick combo. The frontline DP with all the heals, having that false promise backup, keeping you alive is a scary threat. So a nice grab there from LGD for sure.
Yeah. It's a pick that I think also just doesn't care about the Oracle much. You're just going to be looking to run in, and you've got a lot of physical damage coming out. So the Oracle spells are just things that just don't really bother you.
Well, heading into the second phase of bans, Batrider, some respect being put on BZM's name. That hero is really sickening in his hands, that Witchblade build. It really can scale up as the Bat, even going into mid to late game.
Yeah, I wonder if that indicates anything about what they're trying to pick or what their lanes are going to be. Maybe they're considering a mid-Primal Beast. I think definitely the flexibility of the Primal Beast we've talked quite a bit about. A hero that can go, mid lane, off lane, or even support is what we've seen so far. I don't think there's any kind of carry Primal Beast, but it does make things a little bit trickier when it comes to drafting.
Bye-bye Slug, bye-bye TB.
Yep.
You're really going to have to look for this play with the Oracle. There's always the option of the Amar Huskar to come out towards the end of the draft, right? That's in the back of your head.
Yeah, maybe with the 8th pick here, if they want to, they could pick Huskar and then ban to protect it with their last 2 bans. Because I think if they try and save it for last pick, I think it gets banned. So I think if they want it, they may have to pick it in this phase. And if anything, maybe LGD even bans it out here if they're, if they're thinking about Oracle partners. It's definitely one that will come to mind.
I'm wondering then if that's the case, like if OG ban an AA here or something along those lines, it kind of gives up the game a little bit.
Yeah.
LGD just focusing on these heavy hitting carries.
At the same time, you could ban the AA and well, what are they going to do? Are they going to block pick Huskar? This is they don't have any bans left. So if you ban AA, it tips your hat a bit about what maybe you're thinking of picking. But what do PSG do about it?
5 seconds.
Yeah, they'd have to.
But Morphling's banned out, so that's, I think, also kind of protecting your basis. Another hero that benefits a lot from the Oracle save.
True. I wouldn't put it past Faith Beyond to play Huskar, though. He's one of those guys that he could pull out any hero and look comfortable on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess.
Is it good, though? They've already picked 2 offlaners, that's the problem. They maybe do it mid, I guess, or Ame? I don't know.
Yeah, that's true. With this opener, well, we're expecting the DP mid and the offlane Primal Beast, I guess.
I'm not attached to that. I think maybe even I'd rather almost see Death Prophet offlane and Primal Beast mid, but I think at least on some level right now, this Primal Beast is like a flex hero. Could go to support even. So I think we'll have to wait and see a bit when it comes to PSG LGD draft. The Death Prophet being both mid and offlaners. If you look at OG's bans, they don't really know. They banned a carry, an offlaner, and support. So despite LGD having picked 2 offlaners, they're still banning out Beastmaster.
Yeah, and it's not out of the realms of possibility to put DP as like a 5 or something. That's been done in the past.
Yep.
There we go with OG grabbing their BZM Invoker. So looking more and more like this Tiny 4 Oracle 5 Invoker for the mid lane. We're still looking for our Yuragi and Amar heroes to come out later on.
Yeah, I wonder if there's something kind of juicy to pop that Alacrity on, some kind of big super carry. Or if they want to maybe play some kind of fast-paced tempo Dota as well themselves, because I think if you're OG, you're maybe thinking we're playing a little bit defensive. It's not the OG that they're maybe more well known for, the run at the enemy, slay, dive their fountains. Like, we haven't really seen that quite as much outside of the Gaming Gladiator series where they had like some super bloodbathy Dota.
Yeah, it's pretty nutty. But I mean, who is that hero? Now, Medusa hasn't seen much play recently. You already looked at the TB and the Morphling being banned out. Slark is gone. So you're looking at what, like a Jug or something? I mean, Void could come back again.
They do like their Jug on the OG side. And yeah, Faceless Void with the Invoker, I think makes a lot of sense here, as long as you don't pick too greedy of an offlaner. And LGD going back for the Pengo, they really like this hero, particularly in Nothing to Say's hands. It's kind of become one of his signature heroes, and they just get so much team fight around it. He's so good at getting on top of the backlines, and when you're up against an Oracle, I feel like that's always one of the things you want to be able to do in your team. You've got Death Prophet and Primal Beast to kind of address the the cores and the front line of OG, and then your Pengo just goes in and disrupts the Oracle and his ability to play and use his spells to save his teammates.
Yeah, kind of a cool pick in the fact it removes a little bit of flex from the Primal Beast, but then adds it back again, so you've still got DP Pango flexible. But it looks like now you were right, the Primal Beast maybe being relegated a little bit to position 4, with that Dazzle pick being the 5. So Arme's hero, the last one to be grabbed. Unless LGD have a trick up their sleeve, which we're not aware of.
5 seconds remaining.
Seems pretty unlikely. I mean, definitely none of these heroes are Arme heroes at this stage. I think there is still some flex potential between Pengo, Death Prophet, Primal Beast, but it should be kind of what you're expecting. Primal Beast, Death Prophet in the offlane, Pengo mid. As OG, that's a very late SF pick. This hero's been getting first phased and generally prioritized, but here it is, slipping through the draft.
Yeah, right through there. OG feels like they need some more teamfight control, though. They got a lot of damage from Invoker, Shadow Fiend. I mean, I'm saying this because BZM's been playing much more of the Exalt Invoker, and I think across the board through this group stage, we've had them move away from Wex into Exalt to give you the Sunstrikes and the damage, and not necessarily the control from the ERP Tornado combo.
Problem is, some of those teamfight heroes that Amar plays, Slaughter, and particularly the Mars being a teamfight one, are getting banned out, so
True.
as far as those more teamfighty offlaners go, your options may be a little bit limited because of his kind of defined hero pool. Could go for the Timbersaw. I mean, that's not exactly teamfight, but it's more that like kind of carry greedy style if it becomes a good Timber game. Right now, you know, I think it's a decent Timber game. There's not like any kind of crazy kill threat onto him, but it will depend on what LGD get here for the carry. He's going to want to have that good matchup. This is something I feel like OG do a lot when their second pick is actually save a Mars hero for last, or at least wait to see what the carry pick is going to be so they can guarantee that he has that kind of counter pick.
Yeah, and that was a ban. That adds to your story as well, right? Making sure that he's going to have a decent time. Well, yeah, that is a woe.
Tempo.
So
Talk
position
about
1 Prophet?
tempo. Yeah, it's almost, I mean, probably got to be. Sometimes in the past, Faith Beyond's played this offlane, but if that's the case, then who's safe lane? Like,
Carry
Primal
Beast.
Yeah. I said it was like the one role it's not played in, but maybe I'm wrong about that.
But that's the trick up the sleeve I was alluding to, kind of hoping it would happen. We'll see if it's the case. Unlikely here for LGD, as that Prophet will likely be the one. As OG, Amar hero with 10 seconds remaining to pick it up. There's one thing I've learned from Arlington is I don't know what a good Timber game is anymore. I used to look at 3-4 strength heroes, good Timber game, nuke damage, good Timber game. Amar on the panel is just like, nah, this is a good Timber game, not this one. Tidehunter going to be a pickup for OG.
I think they're worried that if you pick something like Timber about the same thing as last game happening, where you just kind of get run over, and if you lose your lanes, you're just going to lose every single tower on the map. Nature's Prophet, Death Prophet. Like, that's just full tower taking control. And then you combine... This is something LGD seem to love to do. Pick these kind of fast-paced side lane cores with a mid Pengo. And Pengo's the perfect hero to kind of combine with these push strats, because anytime you try and defend a tower, you've got this kind of initiation to punish heroes who come in to defend.
Well, Amar, careful with your cables. Looks like he's got his headphones cable trapped under his chair. Prep yourself here for game 2. A difficult time ahead of you. LGD have already shown the tempo they can set with these kind of heroes in game 1. It's going to be no different here. Jinkyu on that Primal Beast. Y on the Dazzle, and nothing to say is Pango really was the key element in game 1 to give them the speed and pace of play that just continued team fights throughout the first 20 minutes. You pile on a Prophet now, and they're going to be everywhere on the map, not giving an inch to OG.
Yeah. And the thing is, like, if you talk a bit more about the Pengo, when this hero became, like, really meta and was being first phased in a lot of games, everybody was prioritizing, like, countering it. Like, okay, they got Pengo, we got to get Wyvern, or we got to get a Bane. We got to get something to deal with Pengo. And I think because Pengo's considered not as strong in the meta now, people have kind of just been ignoring, at least not directly trying to counter it. And that's why these Pengo picks, like this game again, nothing actually deals with Pengo. Outside of maybe, SF, Invoker just BKBing and right-clicking him during the Rolling Thunder, but that's not, that's not really directly addressing him. So, if you're getting these Pengo games where nobody finds a way to counter the role, Pengo's going to very quickly become a top pick in the meta again.
Yeah, absolutely is. And OG, they're going to meet LGD here. Jinkyu walks up to the staircase. The Fortune's End into Razors. And close in on the Primal Beast. The Onslaught gets the distance. The Sunstrike, though, it'll connect and kill him. BZM with first blood and OG. Good start here to game 2.
He was out of there if not for that Sunstrike. Amar really did not want to level up Gush, and you know he's got the Nature's Prophet lane, so I definitely agree with the decision to go for the Anchor Smash there. And fortunately for OG, they land the Sunstrike and still get the first blood, and almost dream case outcome, like your mid laner gets the first blood.
Yeah, this is a mid laner who rushes Midas. Now we've seen this shift, like I was saying, more Exort Invoker, more Hand of Midas first item, before boots, before Bassi, before anything. Just mantle, bit of regen, get that Midas going, get your levels flowing into the Invoker. There's OG, moving down towards bottom runes, trying to gather up as many as they possibly can. Still going to be the 2 for 2 though, as LGD were able to reclaim a bit of territory up top.
Try and poke their nose back in, but Misha taking a lot of harass. A little bit interesting, the Tiny's actually being relegated to 5 position here with Misha on Tiny and Tiger playing the Oracle. Perhaps just for the lanes. I mean, it's, you know, we've talked about it a lot. You want your melee support with your ranged carries, the SFs and Morphlings, then you want your range support with these melee offlaners. So that's really the reason behind it. But a lot of the time we're seeing 4s and 5s, you know, swap lanes. But this time they're actually swapping heroes.
Yeah, good point. Oh,
Ooh,
attempt
nice
from
deny.
BZM. Yeah, good deny there. Both looking at the Sunstrikes to secure range creeps. Age-old tactic.
To say we'll get his last hits too, so definitely a mid lane where I'm not necessarily expecting any action. There's nothing to say misses his shield crash to get his range creeps. So both mid lane is not getting the range creeps, but you know, there is going to be a lot of harass potential from an Exile Invoker, particularly when these Forward Spirits come out. You can keep nothing to say away from the lane a bit.
Yeah, especially being able to guard runes. Maybe with a rotation from Tiny or the Oracle. We'll see if that comes into play a little later on. Yeah, you were talking about these melee supports with ranged carries. And the bottom lane for LGD, double range though. They've got Shadow Wave with a Treants being a pretty nice combo. But how does this play out for Y? Is he just in a 1v1 against Oracle while Prophet 1v1's tied?
I mean, yeah, and for LGD, they don't really want 2 separate 1v1s. They'd rather the 2v2s, because that's where you're getting value out of, you know, the Poison Touch. You can keep reapplying it. You can get all these right clicks off, and yeah. We'll see how things pan out for Amar, who's got definitely a tough lane, but with the Ring of Protection, the early Anchor Smash, and very likely a point in Kraken Shove coming early, I do expect him to still get good farm down here.
Should have a solid time. And Tiger, a lot of focus onto trying to bring down these Treants, remove a bit of the pressure from LGD in their lane. Keep peeking into mid where nothing to save. We're dropping lower and lower, but he's got his bottle now. As it looks like a Water Rune picked up and a Water Rune denied by BZM is going to remove at least the refill potential there for the Pango.
Yeah, it's nice with when you've got the Forward Spirits, you can try and control both runes. Even without a bottle, BZM wants to deny them from nothing to say and, you know, force him to go grab like a 3-minute bounty rune. It's just kind of like this inefficient play that, you know, Invoker's going to get a couple extra last hits and denies if he has to go grab a bounty rune for the bottle refill.
Yeah, looks all safe and sound bottom. No real aggression. Top lane, Misha and Jinkyu just having a bit of a back and forth. Both of the strength supports getting some punches in. But LGD in a good lane space here, a bit closer to their tier 1. Does give them the opportunity to maybe get on top of Uragi. But for now, it's just calm farming time from both teams.
Yeah, I don't think either side's really aggressively looking for kills in these lanes. Outside of maybe PSG LGD with their safe lane. Like, the Dazzle always has that kind of kill threat if you can get Poison Touch on top of someone, but so far that's not really been the case, and now going in on the SF top, yeah.
Yeah, Jinkyu's level 2, but they've got the toss back. Misha, this position 5 Tiny. A little bit of a counter against the initiation from the Primal Beast. But Uragi to take a tremendous amount of damage and needs to get these tangos going just to stay in the lane.
Yeah, it was a level 3 timing. They were waiting to have the double Spirit Siphon. Doesn't feel good to use your 1 Spirit Siphon charge and then it goes on cooldown. They get the toss back into the tower. Zinq has to onslaught out of there.
Yeah, he's in, he's out. And pressure is on OG. This is now Faith Beyond. Pretty much back to free farming. 7 denies, 12 last hits, equal with the Shadow Fiend. Both of them are very focused on clicking each other rather than the creeps in the first 4 minutes here.
Yeah, no real losers yet of this laning stage. No one's suffering too much. Obviously, Invoker, I think, the happiest with the first blood and having a good lane, doing a good job of trying to deny some of these runes. He forces nothing to say to, like, preemptively go to the rune to get it as it spawns. Otherwise, it gets nice. He gets himself a double water rune, in fact, so nice little move from him. But at the same time, Invoker's like, you know, he'd like to deny these runes, but he's not. As long as he's getting farm, he's okay with Pangolier, you know, doing his thing.
Yeah, he's kind of keeping Pango away from the creep wave, but forcing him to drag it around while top again. Primal Beast and the Death Prophet uproar to slow them on their retreat, but the raises from Yuragi, nice dodge on the Sunstrike. Jinkyu, he knew it was coming. The call from the Pango is that Invoker has lifted his arms, so the Sunstrike was on its way somewhere.
Yeah, good communication, and BZM, while all that was going on, perhaps he got pretty low. He maybe was watching top lane a bit too much, and nothing to say. Once he hits level 6, there is that kill potential in mid with Wise Dazzle rotating in. They're looking for it pre-level 6 even, and they're going to get it.
Yeah, very nicely done. Why? Close to death, but he had that wand pretty full and a fairy fire. Keep himself alive, even though he is blocked in with the creeps. Come on, nothing to say. Get me out of here, please. An Oracle TPing in, just going to kill off Y. Y wants to die. It's time to die.
Oh, maybe he didn't see the TP in the trees. Not entirely sure. But like you say, dying almost feels better for him. He's so low in health, he can't really do a whole lot there. He gets some damage onto the tower with the siege wagon. Not anything crazy, but at least a good rotation nonetheless.
Yeah, probably a case of knowing that Oracle was missing, and either he's coming through the river bottom or he's TPing mid, one way or the other. Oh, I was probably going to die there. So TP's back for the bottle refill.
Oh, Rolling Thunder mid.
And going straight onto this Invoker, looking for 2 kills in quick succession. Even bringing Arme in here, but the Cold Snap and the Ice Wall holding LGD away for now. But in comes the Pango, crashing again onto the Invo. As the Nature's Prophet tossed around, being burst down. The grave comes from Y. The save and the reinitiation from Jinkyu as Arme just TP's home. Tiger, he's got to high ground, but nothing to say. Bridges that gap easily, and we'll find the Oracle here. The Fortune's End just delaying things a little bit longer, though. On Tiger, can he get out? He's got a fairy fire. I think LGD have to give up on this. They missed the swash, so he gets away from it.
Okay. Nice little small redeeming factor for what was a pretty bad team fight. The Invoker with the TP death, like you die, you TP and you die again, is one of the worst things as a mid laner. And that's what PSG LGD know. That's why they're willing to rotate in Nature's Prophet. There's no guarantee Ame lives there. He gets a really nice grave from Y to keep him alive and get his TP out, but he's willing to die to kill the Invoker because he knows Invoker's life is worth more than his when he's just been brought down a few seconds previously.
Especially when he's rushing this Hand of Midas, right? This could have been a 7-minute Midas quite easily for BZM, but yeah, there's 2 kills, delaying things by at least a minute and a half, 2 minutes here on that timing.
They give him Mark a decent amount of room down bottom to continue his farm and really start pressuring this lane and getting the tower down a little bit, but I think they're okay with that. They're not too worried about what the Tide can do. There's not really any amount of farm that really scares you on a Tide Hunter.
It always catches me off guard when I click Amar and he's got Satanic in his sticky buy. What's he up to? Oh, that's always that. He's done it before, but I'm not sure this is the place, time, or the game to go for the right-click Tide.
We'll see how things develop, but yeah,
okay.
It could be...
okay, gods.
I don't know. It's Amar, you know what we're talking about. He's thinking Deso. He's thinking, yeah, Satanic.
Trust in the process. A lot of damage to Jinkyu, but they've got this Fate's Edict, blocking all of that magic damage from the trample. That's a nice little move that Tiger can make onto these people being jumped by the onslaught.
PSG LGD, you know, having their cake and eating it too. They're pushing top, they're pushing mid. They use the first exorcism to bring down the tier 1 mid with the Nature's Prophet rotation, and this mid tower's gotten very low as well.
Yeah, Jinkyu may have stepped a little too far forward. Tiger there again, saving himself with the Edict, but Tiny caught out along with the Shadow Fiend. Faith Beyond has herded Yuragi back into LGD, trying to pin down the SF and the Swashbuckle. Nothing to say, shuts him down. The Grave would have saved him from the Sunstrike if it had landed. And LGD, they keep themselves sustained for that continual aggression.
Oh. And they clear out the creep wave here with their own creep wave coming. They're going to get some more poke damage on this tier 1 mid, but it doesn't look like they want to prioritize it just yet. Faith Beyond will stick around, with the rest of the team venturing into this dire jungle, seeing what they can find.
Oh, Misha. He might be able to scout them here. Yeah, the high ground ward, I think, caught a glimpse of nothing to say. So BZM back behind his tier 2 at the top lane. Misha still edging around the trees, trying to scout people out. Well, back into mid. Faith Beyond, 40 seconds more for the Exo to come off cooldown. They've still got a pretty low tier 1 tower here to focus in on.
I think that they'd love to get this without Exorcism. They should be able to do so. Maybe just needing Rolling Thunder, which is still in cooldown as well. So OG do have a couple of cooldowns that they could play around with LGD, not maybe being ready for a team fight, but they just don't have the farm or the items yet to take a fight. Invoker just with Midas, SF just with Treads. You know, Tidehunter is a bit of a slow hero when it comes to offlane play as well. He's just trying to pressure his lane. Things are not online yet for the OG side.
Yeah, nothing
Mars
to
is
say.
dying bottom.
Yo, you're right, yeah. Amar dying to Faith Beyond. I was looking at Yuragi. Yuragi dies to Ancients! Oh, no, gee. They're going to get a catch here with a Sunstrike,
nice
but the Grave again from Y.
Soul coming. And he's going to regen rune too, so he's going to stick around. That was just so well kind of anticipated from LGD, and they're coming scouting out the Ancient Sect. They're going to now get to farm this one.
Oh, no. Well, depending what your perspective is, oh, yes, for LGD.
Come on, Gareth, buy us Casa. What's this?
Yeah, my apologies. I just really feel for Yuragi. Farming Ancients dying like that and everything being stolen. But LGD with some really, really nice movements here into the enemy Ancient area.
Yeah, they went back in.
He's going to pay for this, though, it looks like. Gets off a Grave and a heal, and he's full HP again, in fact. The Shallow Grave with a heal amp. Having a full wand and a level 2 Shadow Wave, it's enough.
Raiding the enemy jungle alone is Zinq. Is he thinking of some kind of pulverized solo kill? Not sure. He's got the damage for the Invoker who's under tower here. What an aggressive move from him, though.
I'm just thinking back on this Nature's Prophet position 1. We saw him a bit at Arlington, right? But the first couple of days of groups, he was, I don't know, he was like,
Cancel.
I mean, Jinkyu's gonna get turned on. Wrath of Nature's
we're
a lot
ready
of
for
damage. And a Pulverize, I mean, is LGD coming in to play around him? The Sunstrike misses, so Jinkyu survives. And now the turnaround play with a Poison Touch and the Uproar, slowing down Misha, allowing for the Swash to land.
Somehow LGD even make the flubbed plays work and look good. like that was so bold from Zinq going for a solo play in the enemy jungle, playing around the Nature's Prophet ultimate to try and get some, some kind of a solo kill. He gets caught on the initiation, and they still turn it into a tiny kill. Like, he sidesteps the Sunstrike. He preemptively cancels Pulverize just to dodge Sunstrike. Is just, honestly, so impressive.
But yeah, this Nature's Prophet, thinking back to Arlington, this Hand of Midas build, we saw it a fair amount. I think RTZ comes to mind, where he was like 0-4, 0-5 on the hero with an item in the group stage. What's the difference here? Why does Arme feel so comfortable going back for the Prophet in the draft and then the Hand of Midas in the game?
I think for LGD, it just fits their overall strategy of playing fast and punishing OG's greed. Like, again, they saw this very greedy draft with SF, Invoker, and Tidehunter. It's just like a perfect case where you want to play. You've already got Death Prophet and Dazzle and Primal Beast. Like, you've got these heroes that want to run at the enemy. Pick a carry that plays around that.
Yeah, that makes sense. And into Roche they go. Exo, the Treants, damaging and tanking up Roshan for Arme to click away at him. Who does this go to? I mean, giving it to the Prophet seems like the logical choice, but I could easily see arguments made for nothing to say to take it.
Yeah, I think probably just I was going to say probably the Prophet, but you're right. It is nothing to say. There's definitely an argument for it, and he's playing more on the front lines, whereas Ame's farming some of these side lanes. Maybe he can play around his buyback teleportation as well, so it is going to be Pengo.
I mean, Arme is going to farm out top, farm out in his Ancients, stay off map and hidden by the fog for a while. PSG LGD trying to connect in with Jinkyu down in the bottom lane. OG have made a small smoke of their own. Looks like Tiger and Misha wanting to get a bit more control of that top jungle with some vision coverage here so they can force fights around their outpost.
Yeah, maybe they're thinking they can kill Nature's Prophet too with a Sunstrike. He TP's out just in time on Arme. They even ping it, so I think they caught a glimpse of how close they were to getting the kill. They'll still get the lane ward down in the top lane, but I think OG were hoping to hunt down a core there. They're being pretty sneaky about it, like showing all their other cores on the map, like 2 supports plus a Sunstrike, can kill Ame.
Yeah, that's true. Army, some stacks waiting for him. Large camp cleared, Ancients to work on. And Gleipnir not too far away anymore. So even more control. Try and catch on to these squishier targets of OG.
Yeah, he is getting very, very farmed. And the entire LGD side, the 3 cores, well on top of the net worth. Similar story to last game, and just making all the right moves. Even like the supports like Xingqiu and his Primal Beast, getting some room to get some farm to start working towards his own BKB.
The line's being drawn. OG have a good read of this, knowing that LGD just showed in the mid lane. Natural movement for them is into that top jungle. There's an outpost there for OG to hold on to, but it looks like they are pretty content pushing out the side lanes, returning back to mid to gather up their forces.
LGD have just been waiting for Exo. It was on cooldown, and now it's back up, so I think we'll see them push out top and mid and likely connect at this top lane to take the tier 2 tower. But now though, they are, they are playing more greedy. They're farming the Nature's Prophet. I mean, Nature's Prophet can farm anywhere and join up, but Xingqiu's Primal Beast being down this bottom lane suggests that they want to try find some pickoffs down here.
All right, try and play into him. They're TPing bottom outpost. Xingqiu sees Tiger. Thinking about it. The onslaught cancelled out. And meanwhile, Faith Bian runs straight in towards Misha.
ECM's caught as well.
Do they
Any
have
detection?
reveal? Any detection for him? Doesn't look like
They're
it.
chain
Nothing to
stunning
say,
him.
just blindly stunning and chain disabling the Invoker while Amar trapped inside the Sprout, silenced up for now. But he is away from there, still holding 17-1 charges, but he's gonna have to use them to survive against the Pango and the Wrath of Nature.
I was just about to say, I think that's actually decent for OG, but losing Amar there, perhaps not going to feel as good. But Exorcism being used for like a small fight that only gets a kill or 2, as opposed to taking a tier 2 tower, is actually okay for OG in the grand scheme of things. But losing Amar, I think, is going to swing things in the favor of LGD, who still have themselves a pretty sizable gold lead. Similar story to last game. This first Roche, a bit more of a farming Aegis, a bit more of one to just take these out of towers, control most of the map, take farm away from the enemy, and then build up this big gold lead to really hit this power spike around Roche number 2.
It's just kind of hard to see where OG are going to be coming from in these fights, because there's a catch on nothing to say. Misha, they take the Aegis down. LGD not chasing up high ground. They don't have the vision there, so they'll try and back away now. Yeah, I was just looking at this thinking OG supports are both very poor, and I don't know. I don't see Misha buying Blink anytime soon. Tiger on an Oracle doesn't really have a key item to go for. Tied with no Blink means no initiation, so is it really going to come down to like Uragi with his BKB that's the big difference maker for OG?
It almost has to in many ways, but yeah, not having a Blink initiator, your Tiny is not getting one anytime soon. He's maxed out the toss, but how does he get into to use a toss back? It's
The
something
Windlace.
OG. Yeah, they just can't play around it.
Oh, 2 supports scouted out and rolled on. Nothing to say. Comes crashing down on their heads and pulverized the Oracle with a good shield crash over towards Tiny. Misha getting caught up here by Faith Bian and nothing to say. 2 quick kills for them while they're still out on the map. Arme pushing out top. Looks like he's TPing in towards mid to catch out Amar. The Tide Hunter dead for 30 seconds.
And being able to play like this aggressive, let's just keep hunting for kills style of Dota with a Nature's Prophet means, Nature's Prophet's just farming all over the map with a Midas. His net worth is like insanely high right now, way above all of the OG cores. And that's just going to remain the case as long as he's got this Midas and ability to farm the map and not even really join fights. He's 1-0-4, and I feel like half of that involvement is just throwing his ultimate.
Yeah, because usually 20 minutes in, 11k net worth is good. 12k net worth is very good. 13k is kind of excellent. This guy is going to have, 15,000 net worth going into 20 minutes or something? He's record-breaking, exceptional game from the Prophet here.
Oh, great Sunstrike. Gets the last hit on the creep. Well done, BZM.
You take what you can get on this kind of map.
I gotta be a bit biased for OG as well here, you know. I was gonna say hoping for that game 3, but oh wait, it's best of 2.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. Just hoping for some ties in the group stage. You know, if everything goes 1-1,
Yeah.
we get more games, more tiebreakers, more Dota 2 action here for TI.
Yeah. I didn't see the LGD games yesterday because there were so many games going on, but this just feels like classic LGD. They're such a fun team to watch when everything's clicking. The kind of aggressive style that they play, and they're doing a great job punishing OG's more passive farming style.
Yeah, a single hero shows. Tiger going to be the target. Swashbuckled down again by the Pango. But I absolutely agree. I didn't catch any of the games, just seeing the score lines, a couple of the drafts. If you look at this series against OG and then look back to day 1, you're thinking, what happened? What happened day 1? This is LGD on form. They're looking perfect.
Another catch. Lamar. He's the one who's farming the dangerous parts of the map and just constantly being found and hunted. Doesn't really want to ravage.
He's tanky and annoying. Cutting through trees and pigballing away.
Okay.
They've got another onslaught in 3 seconds along with a trample, so he'll ravage now as Misha does the Faith Beyond, but in comes the onslaught trample, and Jinkyu finds the takedown. It looked like Tiger was considering the false promise on the tide, but now with the Gleipnir catch from Arme, they'll bring him down as well. 3 quick kills again from LGD, and it's just non-stop slaughtering of the OG lineup here.
Poor Amar, he's thinking like, oh, I'm gonna die anyways, let's not use Ravage, and then finally he's like, oh, I'm gonna live, let's use Ravage, and oh, sure enough, still goes down. Just nothing they can do. How far ahead LGD are getting and the kind of tempo they're playing at. They've got this great catch that the Primal Beast brings to the table, even out of the support role, and with Faith Beyond, his Death Prophet having Exorcism combined with a Nature's Prophet, these towers just drop.
They've not really spent too much either. They've got BKB Exo on Faith Beyond. Onslaught in behind the tier 2 and the tree line there. They were expecting OG to be lurking in the shadows and waiting for a fight. Nothing to be found though.
Invoker had dropped a meatball, but he backed off as soon as he did, so not quite the connection they were hoping for, but they'll get the outer tower nonetheless, and now they get to kind of sweep through the jungle, farm everything out, and start making their way, I think, towards this top part of the map. Roshan is back.
And Arme's going to have an AC in the next couple of minutes.
Oh boy.
16 grand. Oh, what an absolute monster. Yeah, TP and top, he's just, ping-ponging back from top lane to Ancients, keeping that farm rate up. And in fact, is it 740 GPM? Not a spectacular number, but for 22 minutes into the game, it's pretty freaking good.
Just gotta be careful. OG have smoked us 5. This is their big teamfight opportunity.
And they come in contact with the DP and blow up Faith Beyond, but look at that trample. The damage of the Tiger clears him up. Oracle's dead. As Uragi with his BKB turns, but the Grave onto Jinkyu allows him to potentially TP home here.
BKB TP, and he's out of there. Roshan is alive. I don't know if OG have the ability to take this one. The SF damage is decent, but he hasn't got the Mask of Madness, and I think more importantly, LGD are ready to take a fight. Even without Death Prophet, they're going to have a Rolling Thunder in the pit, so OG have to back off, but they seem to want to stick around. They still have Ravage. Well, they will have Ravage up in 8 seconds time, so a potential Roche fight could look good for OG.
Still got that double observable there. Plenty of vision to play in towards the pit. I've got lanes to maintain though. Uragi up top. Got some BZM down bot.
LGD may just walk into the pit here. They see so many OG heroes on the map, it's very safe to do so. And if they can hold on to Exorcism, it means they'll have the Aegis and probably 2 Exorcisms to use during the Aegis timer.
And whose shard is this? Just give it to DP?
They've already got Pingo, it looks like Death Prophet, unless... I don't think
Dazzle?
Nature's Prophet.
Dazzle's pretty good.
Okay.
Let's see. Shard on the ground. Faith
Death
Beyond
Prophet, yeah.
belongs to him, so that fear from the Spirit Siphon.
He's shut. He's been found.
Yeah. And Gleipnir nets him up. Onslaught to cancel the TP. Kill the Tiny. At least a bit of room bottom for OG, though, knowing that LG have amassed everybody up top. They get a deep ward down, keep farming through that bottom jungle, and a little bit of pressure on the tier 2.
I feel like OG, they found this Philosopher's Stone and they're keeping on Tiger. I'd almost like to see it pass over to the Tiny. I think this Blink Dagger is going to be a key ingredient for their high ground defense. It does feel like that's where the direction this game is headed with how big of a lead LGD has got. And Tiny, 800 gold. He's pretty far from Blink Dagger, but something like a Philosopher's Stone could make a difference.
Yeah, that's the thing for me. These two very poor supports. Okay, if the Oracle buys a Ghost Scepter, he can buy space. Ame. Yeah, 1v2, turning and fighting. And a Rainbow TP situation from LGD, all coming down here onto the outpost to help out their Prophet. Tiger so close to death, but he'll TP successfully back to Fountain. While BZM tucks into the trees. And it looks like Amar went in behind to try and cut some waves as well.
He's sending the... Yeah, Wraith Pack TP out. I guess he's just doing some cheeky little plays. Didn't really achieve a whole lot. Chipped away at the creep wave, but didn't actually bring it down.
They're even scanning and looking for him. Where's this sneaky fella? Not to be found. But yeah, the role swap or the hero swap between Misha and Tiger doesn't seem to have worked out this game. And it also feels like Oracle hasn't had that much impact in this match without a real hero to put the false promise on. BZM gonna TP out of bottom. Arme stuck around, and the 5 members of LGD are stampeding in towards that tier 2 bot area. They've already claimed the tower, so now it's time to claim some kills. Why? Walking high ground, gets Avatos back into Yuragi. Good pick off on the Dazzle, but what can they make off the back of it? Amar and Yuragi coming down the staircase. Sunstriking forward to try and scout and give vision. Jinkyu, he meets Misha, BKBs and pulverizes, and now they've got the DP ult with the Pango roll. Back in towards the Tiny. Look to blow up Misha here and catch onto Tiger. Both supports the targets here for the Gleipnir of Arme, as they will swiftly move in to kill off the Squishies.
Elsewhere, though.
He's even in the back lines aiming for BZM.
He's zoning out the entire back lines. Didn't have any follow-up damage, so wasn't really close to getting any kills there, but doing a good job of landing his spells to guarantee those 2 quick and easy support kills. But with Exorcism wearing off, there's no real high ground play here to be made for LGD. They're going to have to back off, continue farming, continue building upon this lead. Like, even though OG had this kind of scary, stronger late game, if you're far enough ahead, it doesn't really matter how good a late game draft your opponents have if you've got like a 30, 40k gold lead.
Yeah. I mean, it must be devastating for the morale of OG here. I mean, game 1 was 31 to 9, 35 to 9. It was 35 to 9, a massive dominating performance, and now 21 to 4. No difference in game 2. LGD coming up high ground bottom lane. Tier 3 taking a pummeling from Arme, and this defensive line is just a straight wall of heroes behind the Nature's Prophet, ready for any move of OG.
Just knowing there's no Blink Dagger on Tiny, it makes pushing so much easier for them. They're doing this without the Exorcism and just using the Nature's Prophet with Aegis just to chip away at these buildings. Do get the D-Ward here.
Last ditch glyph keeps the tier 3 alive on 20 health. And Yuragi fake pumping the Requiem. Gotta be careful now, he's sprouted up though. Needs to get his BKB off. They've got False Promise behind him to buy. No, they don't. It's on cooldown. They don't have the save available for Yuragi, so he's gonna die. Arme just comes in, kills off 2. Dive behind tier 3s a little bit there, but fall back and focus objectives is the name of the game for LGD.
SF was almost playing as if he did have the False Promise behind him, but it was still, 10 seconds away, and LGD get the perfect jump, utilizing this Primal Beast initiation so well. The BKB pulverized just... When there's no false promise, it's just no good answer to it, and it's not just one lane of Rax there looking for a second. Still 30 seconds left on this Aegis.
Yeah, and 30 seconds left before Shadow Fiend respawns. Doesn't want to buy back.
Yep.
And
They're going to have Exo, too. 10 seconds, and, how do you fight into them?
That's a very good question. I don't think I've got the answer for you.
See if Faithbound just pops it here, or if they decide to back off and look for another good fight. It looks like backing off is going to be the call. Farm some Ancients, get those next couple of items. You just got so much out of that bottom lane, plus the kills you got from the team fight. That a lot of big items coming out for LGD.
And another cycle here for LGD, doing very well, getting a pretty early first Roshan into second. Waiting for another one. And grabbing up tier 3 items on their journey through the top jungle. And OG gonna have to relinquish control of the entirety of the map outside of their base.
Just got solo vision, only one deep aggressive ward, which isn't really leading to any kind of plays here. With a completed Satanic and 200 gold is going to be massive problem for them. And I think big part of the Nature's Prophet pick here is the matchup against SF is pretty good. You actually kind of, you've got that range carry that can always be attacking in SF. You're not really being kited. And LGD, they want to charge in here.
Man, nothing to say. Breaks up the high ground, spots out Misha. So let's get the toss back and a blink grab from Mamar, not connecting on anything. Faith Biana's aggressively blinked in on towards Tiger, getting the fear on the Oracle. Pango trying to slow down Uragi's retreat. Needs the BKB Requiem to fear them up, but he's been caught out, stunned up by the Rolling Thunder and finished off. GG call.
GG.
A tremendous victory. 2-0 in fact for LGD over OG. I thought this series would be a close one.
26-4, 2 sub 30-minute games. We're getting all these 50-minute games on this patch. I feel like, yesterday we had 10 games or whatever that went like 15 hours, and OG and LGD just having 2 quick ones. This was a complete and utter stomp. I think LGD, a lot of it goes back to the draft where OG thought they could get away with these greedier drafts, and LGD almost drafted to punish it. They drafted to really, beat the timings of OG, picking up these, tempo carries with the Nature's Prophet, having a Death Prophet in the off lane. The Nothing to Say Pengo back-to-back games, just doing a great job of, punishing OG and finding the backlines. And yeah, OG just had no answer here.
Now, what is it? 61-13 if you combine the kill score of these 2 games. That's not a pretty sight. A total of 1 hour of gameplay across 2 games. Our average game time here through LCQ and into the group stages has been like 45 plus minutes or something. We had lots of long games. LGD showing you can win early on here, taking down and dispatching with OG in quite some fashion.
Yeah, and for OG, they started 4-0, and now they've lost 4 games in a row to 2 of probably the tougher opponents in their group. It's in EG as well as PSG LGD, but suddenly you're faced that kind of scary thought where it's like, a 50-50 score doesn't likely get you into the upper bracket when only 4 of the 10 teams advanced upper bracket. So they're going to have to pull out some 2-0s, and particularly games like this, they're going to maybe feel like they have to revisit some of their overall kind of strategies and gameplay that they've kind of prepared for the international. It may have worked in some of their scrims, but the kind of greed I feel like they're picking with is just not working when they're going up against these tougher opponents.
Yeah, it's that battle of ideologies that's often in Dota 2, right? You see these games going longer, you think you can out-greed your opponents, build into late game, but then you have the reverse being true also, where you get the exploitation of the greed, spread the wealth across all of LGD and look incredibly good. Nothing to say, that series, talking about kill scores in the end, he was 19-0-25, unkilled across the 2 games.
Yeah, absolutely flawless stuff from him. Had some tough mid matchups, but made the most of it. This game, he was getting bullied a little bit with the Invoker harass, but just made some good plays to guarantee like double water runes and things, picked up all the bounty runes, and just once he got his items, gets his fast diffusal and blink dagger. It just feels like every fight, he's connecting on Rolling Thunders on multiple heroes in the backlines. Even if they're not dying, he's stopping them from casting spells in ways that these other Pengo players often are just not finding clean blink initiations.
Yeah, it's been really nice to see him find his groove. Pango is nothing new to Nothing to Say, but he's kind of shifted away from these TAs and snipers, thinking back kind of a year and a half ago, over to this Pango as being really his key hero. Might be worth a respect ban. Maybe not in the first phase, but definitely, like you were saying at the end of the draft, you need some responses to it. Whether it is that Wyvern or Bane or Bloodseeker, you've got to respect Nothing to Say's Bloodseeker here. Don't give him freedom.
Yeah, if he's going to keep picking Pango, start counter picking it, because this game, 5 heroes that just don't counter the Rolling Thunder in any way. It just kind of goes back to the times where Pango was meta, like everyone was like first phasing Wyvern or whatever to beat it, and I think OG. Maybe that's not just OG, but I think all teams are going to have to be kind of thinking about that if you leave Pango in the pool. The other option is you just ban it out.
Yeah, so LGD starting to clamber back up Group A standings now, as OG, like you're saying, sitting at 4-4 now with two series wins and 2 series losses. 2 losses against EG and LGD. But lots more Dota 2. We've got 2 more full days. We've got another half a day here to come in terms of group stage action. I just love this beautiful view across the winning draft. Wise Dazzle, Nothing to Say Pango, and there the final kill scores and net worth up on your screens.
I feel like you've already decided, but what were you thinking for MVP?
For MVP, Oh,
Or
see,
maybe you haven't decided.
It's just like, I don't know, it's so easy to say nothing to say, isn't it? But I just kind of love Jin Q when he's playing Nyx and Primal Beast. You know, he breaks vision, he's the teamfight starter, he's winning lanes. Okay, Faith Beyond did very well game 1. Nothing to say he did very well game 1 and 2. But I think overall, in terms of actually winning fights and winning the game, Jin Q is the one that's pushing waves, finding the starts to initiations, and really he's like the linchpin of this LGD squad here.
That solo smoke he made was so ballsy. I was just like, what the hell is he thinking? But this guy knows how strong Primal Beast is. If he's going for solo kills in the enemy jungle with the Nature's Prophet ultimate, and there he is, the MVP. Dude, poor nothing to say. The guy he goes some 0 deaths
fault.
in 2 games, and
Production's listening to me for some reason. Who's your MVP? Maybe we can have 2 gods.
I mean, I thought you were going to say nothing to say, and I was like, poor guy's had 0 deaths in 2 games. I robbed him game 1, you're robbing him in game 2. But yeah, no, we've decided, we got to stick with it. So, yeah, I mean, nothing to say, honestly. It was co-MVP both games, but perhaps just not the MVP.
Yeah, so I would give MVP for the series to Jin Q, and MVP of game 1 to Faith Beyond I think was correct. MVP game 2 to Pango, but I think it's just worth pointing out Jin Q's performance here across both of those individual games.
There we go.
Oh, we've got 2.
He's got
it. Double MVP.
Yeah, co-MVP. The one player I think, I know the panel and Fear was saying he wants to see Ame kind of step it up. I think Ame is fortunate that games like this, he had such a quiet game. He didn't actually have to do anything in either game. I think it often happens, these games where you're versing a greedy team and trying to beat the greed with a push draft, that carries just get to chill a bit. So 2 very straightforward, easy games for Ame, where particularly the SF game, I don't feel like he had to do anything at all except hit buildings. But curious to see in some of these closer games if Ame can, step it up when he's needed, because this series was a bit of a walk in the park for him.
Yeah, I mean, he's the carry, but he kind of got carried, through the draft and through the lanes there by the rest of his team. So, yes, a swift 2-0 victory there for LGD over OG, as I believe we can head over to the panel and think about the future of Dota here, heading through the group stage.
A much needed 2-0 for LGD here over OG. It looks nice for LGD. It's looking great for all of the LGD fans out there. Let's start with game 1. Have a little bit of your thoughts, Kezu, on the draft and the way that it played out for LGD to be able to secure it.
First of all, LGD, they are back. That is shaky day 1, but I think, Zhao 8, I think he whipped them back into place yesterday, maybe had a little bit of a speech.
It just goes to show how much can change between day 1 and day 2.
Oh, absolutely, and we all know that LGD are capable, and as we can see here from the draft, some good heroes on both sides, but Magnus' last pick maybe not ideal. We see here at least one of the plays that OG tried to pull out. They have this aggressive RP, they pull him back, but overall, the story of this game was LGD had really good side lanes. They got kills with the SF, they got kills with the Venal, and OG were kind of running around trying to scrape back the game, but when you're behind against a Nyx Assassin, we've seen that many times, you have Faith Beyond who had an 8-minute Vessel running around and nothing to say on the Pango. Yeah, your map just becomes a little hard to play, and I just think that this last pick Magnus was, kind of a deal breaker. It doesn't really help you defend the game all too much. And game 2, a little bit of a, similar story. Drafts look perhaps somewhat even. I think OG have some cool stuff going, but one thing I want to highlight is the Nature's Prophet carry coming out here by Ame. And we just have a few plays in this game. So when you play Nature's Prophet, especially as carry, you want to play on high tempo. So already at minute 6, they have a Pango roll mid, they rotate their carry. So they're going on BZM, they force a lot of heroes here from OG. They do kill the Invoker, they get a lot of damage on the mid tower. Clutch Grave by Y, so Ame joins this fight. Here comes Jin Q as well. They get the mid tower very low, they kill the enemy mid laner, and this is already very great for them. And we're only gonna mainly focus on the early game here, with the next 1 or 2 plays as well. So here you see the chase continue a bit more. Here, 8 minutes. This is just 1.5 minutes later. Another fight mid. You get a couple more kills. They do some more pressure. In the meantime, top tower, Faith Beyond, he's there. He's pushing it with his exorcism. Ame is going to rotate there as well. We can see him right now. He doesn't feel too cool about staying in the bottom lane. So now they take the top tower and then the last play. They're already now 3,000 gold ahead at 8 minutes. And that was kind of the story of that game, and they ran away with it.
really good, I guess, news for the LGD fans out there. But Fear, you were covering OG as well coming into this series. Talked about the picks that they like to stick with, and it's just not really working out this series.
Yeah, I mean, it didn't look like it this game. Like, they tried to do some of their stuff that they are comfortable with. Amar was on a little bit of a different hero, but at the end of the day, unfortunately, it just didn't work out.
Did not connect, but this Boom and Gaming Gladiators game 1 did connect for Gaming Gladiators, T-Panda.
Yeah, basically pretty heavy team fight lineup here from Boom. They went with a lot of cooldowns. You can see the lassos, the black holes. You can feel like FBZ on Enigma, you're pretty much used to see him like he's the Mars god, but he can also pull off a pretty mean Enigma from time to time. This game 1, though, if you look at it from the side of Gaming Gladiators, I think the person who really carried this game was Duraccio. So Duraccio was carrying with the SF. He went 10-2. I like the item build that he's going for. Pretty classic Lincolns against the Batrider. You've got Silver Edge versus the PA. And it just feels like a semi-free game, but they took their sweet time, you know. They chilled it out 32 minutes into the GG push and tap out from Boom. And this wasn't one of those games where Boom would be leading. This was the one and only where they were basically on the receiving end from start to finish. And then we go to game 2. We got a bit of a spicy draft coming up from here. As you can see, you've got Marcy paired up with an Agi carry. Always nice to have that extra lifesteal plus the damage to buff up. Helps out a lot for Duraccio. You've got Jackie Boy on Pudge. And one thing about this Pudge, this game I think was still ongoing. The Jackie Boy Pudge basically went 19-9 at like 5 minutes, so we had a very drained out ace brew at the start of the game, but I think it's still going.
I can actually tell you that it is finished now. The other thing I wanted to highlight in seeing that after covering SEA for most of the year is FBZ getting Mars. He looks fantastic on it almost always. I can't say how he looked in that game. Unfortunately, we didn't get to see it play out, but they did win. Boom being able to tie up that series. They get the second game. Gaming Gladiators had the game number 1 there. So that's B-Stream. They're going to be moving on to their second series very soon. But yeah, Boom taking it out there. The C-Stream, last time we checked in with it, RNG had taken game 1 off of Sonics. Game 2 still ongoing. So not too much to talk about over there. Kind of going how a lot of people expected. And the D-Stream. Day of upsets, it has to be, or comebacks for some teams, because we had EG Liquid. EG not winning either game here, Fear.
Yeah, I mean, we tuned a little bit late to this one as we're still paneling as this long game was going onwards. But for the most part, like, this is EG's first loss here. And Liquid, they got their comfort. They got the Pudge on Matumba Man. They got Mickey on his Shadow Fiend. Saw a lot of work being done here by, like, the Pudge versus Sven Dismember during the BKB. And then Mickey's Shadow Fiend doing plenty of damage. Not to, like, undermine Zai here, too, on his Death Prophet. He played a really good Death Prophet here. It was a really back-and-forth game. As you can see, there's a Rapier on the Quap right now. That used to be on RTZ, but, you know, it's a 70-minute game. Those things happen, but at the end of the day, Liquid did take that win.
Game 2 here also going in the way of Liquid Kazoo with that draft. Sort of, you know, I guess going to what we're used to seeing, Matu picking up the lone druid, getting something that he's very comfortable and very dominant on.
I mean, I think they just had a lot of comfort picks, kind of played on some tempo. Matu lone druid, I mean, I feel like I can stop right there.
That's actually the whole analysis, is just Matu lone druid.
I mean, he did get to go mid lane this game. Like, we saw it in last chance qualifiers. He went mid against Abed's Lina. Didn't go as well. Like, he didn't have the best laning stage, but the tempo they had the Leshrac in the safe lane. They moved Mickey there, destroyed the Lycan in that lane, snowballed. Now all of a sudden you're in a lineup where you have Enigma, you have a Lone Druid, and a Leshrac. And EG, they didn't really have any wave clear, so once they got a little bit of a lead, they just snowballed that game into a victory.
Probably one of the most enjoyable things about Liquid, watching their drafts play out and how they come into the early game, is who is going to be going where with the Mickey Matu ability to be able to swap heroes and swap lanes. But last stream 5, the E1, we had to see what was going on over there, because another bit of a surprise. Bet Boom picking up game 1 against Hikaru, T-Panda.
I feel like there was a bit of a lackluster at hype because Bet Boom is back, baby. Of course, like, when you look at this draft, one thing you have to highlight, the Huck, Nature's Prophet. This guy, they played 68 games during the course of this DPC tour. His entire year combined, he would go 18 games on this Nature's Prophet with like 72-73% win rate. Absolutely dominant on this hero. You can't let Bet Boom have this. But we just saw Ame pull off a clean game, 0 deaths in the entire series. Nature's Prophet carry might be something that shows up a little bit, so you see some good stuff. Also, I would recommend looking at maybe Betboom's Twitter. There's some spicy stuff going on in there as well. But also in game 2, they did lose to Hokori. You know, we see them going with the SF and the Husker. That's something that Hokori was playing a couple weeks back. They would go with this Husker pick, either for the mid lane or the off lane, go for the quick agonyms, goes for those good taunt plays, and they would win that game, even if Lara will go 10-1 on the quad. So Hokori continues the ties, man.
Yeah, Hokori really showing up. I think the other thing that shows how well they're able to adapt is they just banned the Nature's Prophet in game 2. So
Yeah.
really sort of taking away that comfort for Bat Boom. It's showing that Hokori able to adjust and look really good. Means standings. It's standing time. We need to see where everyone's shaping up, sitting down. Group A will be the only changes from the last time we showed you the standings here on the main stream. RNG now up there, 7-1. It's a little bit of a change for that top. EG and Liquid now being tied after their showdown. And Sonic's Boom tying with Vet Boom still down there at the bottom. LGD and OG also tied now. Actually, 4-4 was something interesting that stood out to me there. Nothing for you guys?
No.
Oh, okay.
Actually, the
I
only
was like
thing,
opening it up. Maybe you guys
I
are
would
like,
say
yeah,
the only
shocked.
thing for me that I wouldn't say shocked, because RNG are a good team, but I didn't
course.
pay enough attention to the standings to know that they're topping their groups right now at 7-1, which is, you know, not too bad.
Did you even listen to me?
Yes. Oops.
It's alright, Kaz, I'll forgive you 100%. But we want to jump into the next series, the one that is going to be played here on main. It's Aster and Entity, two teams that we actually haven't really been able to cover on the main too much yet. Entity there on the left-hand side, Aster on the right-hand side. How is it shaping up in your eyes, T-Panda?
Well, I mean, this entire matchup pretty spicy in sense of Entity. They're sitting 3-3, 1 win, 1 tie, 1 loss. Aster 5-1. This is probably one of the teams we haven't really touched upon too much. Like this entire roster of Aster building around like XXS, for example. I think one of the better offlaner players in this entire tournament from these first 2 days. And I believe that Aster has some of those strengths that Entity also match up, even though they're in a completely different region. Like they have a lot of similarities in both of these teams. I think you guys would agree on that.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I got some info a little bit on Aster. We're not able to follow them a lot, but they're running a lot of the Drow Ranger on the position 1, 100% win rate. And at the same time, they're running position 5 on Simon's got the Sven, position 5. 2 games of that, 100% win rate as well. So those are some heroes I'll keep an eye on. Also for mid lane, Ori, he's playing a lot of the Primal Beast, no surprise there. Also Leshrak, 100% win rate. These guys have only lost 1 game. A lot of 100% win rates around. XSS, Brewmaster, that's a hero we don't see a lot of. They did lose a game with it, but it's still looking really good for them.
Yeah, and then if we look at Entity, who, you know, they're going to face up against, they have a couple similar heroes. You have the Leshrak, who they play in most of their games. But as you mentioned, Aster, they love Drow Ranger. So if Entity want to have a good game with their Lesh, they need to be either aware of Drow and ban it, or if they can't in the first phase, because Aster will pick it at the closing pick of first phase, Entity need to address it with their second phase picks. Maybe Broodmother, they love that hero. Lycan, there's also some Naga Sirens that they like to bust out with Pure, so that's also something at the same time Aster they need to take care of.
You guys have raised a lot of points, a lot of heroes to keep an eye on. I guess also the way that they're going to be able to play out this game. Very quickly, though, you only get 2 seconds each. How does the series play out? Scoreline.
Monet doesn't die.
Good.
Win.
What?
Yes, win. I say 1-1.
What?
Monet doesn't die.
Okay.
Yeah, I just don't understand you half the
1%.
time.
Someone is winning.
1%.
1%.
The only thing I really understand is Gareth and God, so I really just want to go over to them as they're going to be cast in this game.
I just want a highlight reel of Fear just going 1, 1, 1. Every clip of him saying 1 over and over again on loop. Yeah, we're gonna head into Aster up against Entity here. Gods, Entity, they went through the regionals undefeated, didn't drop a single game up against teams like Secret and that. Now it doesn't seem like they've been shaken by the group stage or anything here at TI. How do you think they're gonna face up against Aster, who came second at ESL Malaysia and have always looked like one of these top tier Chinese squads?
Yeah, I feel like Entity were kind of like the trendy team coming to TI, like the not even dark horse. I feel like they were rated higher than what you'd kind of consider from a dark horse, just because of how well they did in Texas with the stand-in and like their unique style of play and understanding of the meta. But they haven't shown up quite as hot. Whereas I think Aster is just this like super well-oiled machine. I'm kind of expecting a 1-1, but I think if either team's going to get a 2-0, I think it's more likely to be Aster with how strong and solid and just kind of, I think, well-rounded they are as a team.
Okay, so Entity, you know, got some interesting picks out there with like, you know, Storm Visage mid and things like that. Definitely their own style of play. Do Aster have these surprise factors, or is it just like you said, this is solid, stable, well-oiled?
They've got their, you know, their own kind of brand of Dota. I think particularly with Monet and his carry pool is just massive. You know, he's got some heroes like the Naga Siren he's looked really solid on, but then I think he just will play like the tempo carries as well as the hard carries depending what's needed. So I would say when it comes to Aster, I think it's less kind of clearly defined, so they're a bit more unpredictable with the draft, whereas with Entity, you know what they're going to pick. It's just a question of, can you beat it? At least that's generally been the story with them in the past, because they've got this much smaller hero pool.
Yeah, can you handle it? Can you withstand that early pressure? They love to win their lanes and snowball into that mid game as Entity. And Team Aster here, like I said, coming in second year, so Malaysia doing very well for themselves across the board, getting into TI off points, looking incredibly strong. As the panel was saying, Monet maybe not even going to die in this game or this series.
That's kind of a classic Monet thing to do. I think he's one of these carry players, similar like a Raven, who will just have these. If you're winning games, he's just having these flawless performances. Like they're so good with their safe lane, playing around. You know, him in his 5 position just don't seem to give up kills. Well, I mean the support does, but he's not. They secure that lane incredibly well, and I think for Aster, you see him there on the camera getting ready, having some last-minute little power naps, but they're just a well-oiled machine.
Yeah, I don't know. Is that relaxation? Is he hyped up and prepared for this? He's just chilling.
He's chilling. That's fine. That's normal stuff.
There we go. Snap into action.
Yeah, he doesn't look sleepy at all.
Yeah, very prepared, ready to get underway here. As game 1 draft, it will begin. And Aster, thinking of heroes and a little bit of flair they like to bring. Drow Ranger is one of those picks that we could see here, grabbed up by them even early on. First phase Drow is something that they love to grab.
Okay, are they picking it like against the Morphling, or is it just like not even seeing anything on the other side, Well,
it's like they're leaving Morphling in the pool, and then it looks like they're picking Drow to... they like the Drow, but it's kind of a block pick against the Morph, it looks like. Opting to ban out some of these other heroes instead.
And they're the ones with first pick, so generally you look at first pick having the draft edge, at least for these openers, as we help ourselves into that draft. Coach Lan M, Chinese Dota scene veteran, favorite of mine, big fan of the guy, and he's doing the drafting for Team Aster.
Yeah, I mean, one of my favorite moments from a TI was Lan M playing position 5 Jug and going boots first, spin level 1. Going around and destroying people with that. There we go. Snapfire first pick. Aster have done this previously to lead into a draft if they want to. While Entity, they've been left, dying out there as an option. Oh, okay. Straight out with the Broodmother. Here we go. That's setting the tempo of the draft. Never mind the game.
Hello. Brood's been... We've not seen any Brood, but I feel like every time I look at some of these drafts from other games, like EG especially, there's been a lot of Broods. And EG were 6-0, so I think they lost with it today against Liquid, but Brood's been apparently dominating games.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense when you've got your Morphlings, your Zeuses, some of these Drow Ranger heroes. They don't really contend with the Brood at all in the laning stage. And it's one of Entity's favorites. Double bug start as well, Brood and Nyx. Is there a 5-man bug draft out there? Is that possible?
Throw in a Weaver, throw in a... I don't know, what are the other bugs?
I think that might be it. A Sand King? Sand King's one, kinda.
Yeah. Scorpion? I don't know. There are arachnids.
There's arachnids,
no,
bugs.
Arachnids are spiders. Yeah, what are the other bug heroes? Viper? No, he's not a bug.
We'll have to start looking at cosmetics now, scraping the bottom of the barrel.
Yeah.
And a Shadow Fiend for Aster. So no Drow Ranger this time, going for the tried and true SF for themselves. And the immediate Arc Warden ban as well. Entity, one of these teams, kind of similar to Liquid, not necessarily in terms of actual hero pools, but the ability just to play this toxic, no holds barred, no morals, no ethics draft style.
Yep. I think it was, Insane you said? Yeah, there's no ethics in drafting.
You pick what's good.
Yep. And it's kind of interesting, I think, to me that they still went for the Shadow Fiend. Like, obviously it's kind of this meta carry, but a lot of people generally kind of have this idea that Broodmother should be one of the heroes that causes SF problems, but nonetheless, they stick with it. They're not going to be thrown off just because of the Brood pick. I think EG, the game they lost against Liquid with Brood, there was like SF Pudge. I think that was the SF Pudge game on the other side. So,
Okay.
you know, it's still playable. Or maybe I'm mixing the games up. You know, there's so many games going on. Hard to follow them all.
Yeah, there's a lot going on. Yeah. I'm just thinking back about, like, SF used to be a bit of a counter against Brood, but that was back when Brood had, you know, Spiderlings before level 6. So I'm not sure how this actually works out with the Brood Mother against SF, because he's got razors to kind of contend with the Spiderlings a little bit, as long as he lands his razors. And Cookie is a little disengaged tool. They're definitely going to need something to squash the bugs here for Team Aster.
Yeah, you see some of these. The ban on Pango, designed to maybe protect the Brood and the Spiderlings. Like, it's the kind of wave clear that feels nice against the Brood. The Beastmaster, Beastmaster with SF, I think, is a great pairing. Like, there's a few heroes, Beastmaster as well as the Pudge, who just seem to really combo well with SF into these like 5-man death ball drafts in the mid game. You have this tanky vision hero and in Beastmaster you have a hero that really amps up the SF's damage and synergizes with the physical damage build. So no surprise to see these two heroes banned out.
Yeah, so previously, along with the Broodmother, we've had a lot of Jakiros and Leshraks, some of these heroes that give you additional abilities to push down towers, close out objectives for Entity. So we might see something along those lines come out in that next phase. They've got the team fight starts with the Nyx Assassin, so now they need someone to partner up with him, someone that can go around the map and maybe look for kills. I really love these support duos. You know, they can't have Nyx Snap in this game because Snap's gone, but along those lines of having a Nyx Disruptor that can find a core and kill them just on their own is always really nice.
Yeah, I think the hunting and vision aspect of Nyx is always so good. You've got Spiderlings as well. I think we're seeing more and more teams really prioritize heroes, and I think for vision, like a lot of these kind of heroes that are kind of popping up in the meta here and there, I think a lot of the strength, you know, it's kind of an unmentioned part of like Enigma, for example. It's like you have these Eidolons, which come mid to late game, you're just sending out to do some scouting. The Enchantresses, you know, Nyx as a hero, as a body does that. The Spiderlings do that. Vision is just so important in Dota, particularly when your enemy are like playing around their cliff wards and you can't go running in. You almost need one of those like summons to send in to scout things out.
Yeah, especially when so much of the game is focused around Roshan. You know, being able to scout side lanes or high grounds gives you such vital information leading into team fights. As Entity, they opt for the Silencer. So a bit of a combo breaker here against the SF Snap.
Yeah, they've liked their Silencer, and they, as well as a lot of these teams coming out of Europe. Puppy's been playing it for Secret. Gladiators have been playing it. They've been doing this like Silencer Brewmaster lane a lot. Although we're not going to be seeing any Brewmaster, it looks like we'll be off-lane Brood. So just a solid 5 that, for not for any like for some reason it's kind of become this big go-to for a lot of these support players.
And what do we need now for the Team Aster? SF Snap leading into the Omni Knight.
Oh.
Has he been picked yet? He feels like a fresh hero to me.
Is he a first-timer? Let me quickly check.
Yeah, have a quick look, because I don't think I've seen him, and I've not noticed him looking back on drafts, you know, through Dota Buff or anything like that. I don't see him on the unpicked unbanned, so I think he was grabbed previously.
5 seconds remaining.
And a Mars
has
for Team
been-
Aster as well.
One Omni Knight pick by Thunder Awaken.
Aster's turn.
Oh, that was close.
No. Just the one. Didn't go well for them. That was a game Team Secret took, but Aster gonna look to remedy that. Picking it with the Mars, so there's your kind of, your Spiderling AoE wave clear. Also just good team fight. I think against the Brood, like having the wave clear is important, but also having the catch. That's where Beastmaster is pretty good against Brood as well. You want to just be able to, have that blink stun initiator who can just jump on her and force these kills.
I'm trying to figure out the role of the Omni Knight here, because it's not as though, he can dispel global or anything like that. Is it just like a matchup of Omni Knight does decently against Nyx in the lane and keeps the SF alive, similar to like an Undying?
Yeah, I could see that. I'm not seeing like a 100% clear intention behind it. I think the Guardian Angel has a lot of value against Brood Morphling because that's 2 physical damage cores. So
Okay.
Entity haven't gone for much mixed damage here. They're going to almost be forced into some kind of Stormer mid laner that's got magic damage, and that makes it very straightforward with these bans. Like the Invoker gets banned out. Could even see like a zeus ban potentially. It just I think makes Entity's ability to win these team fights into Omni a bit tricky.
Or the other option. Position 1 Mars with an Omni Knight, Shadow Fiend mid. Build up this Mars carry to deal with the Broodmother, just keep him in that lane. There's Aster banning out their final hero here. Yeah, Stormer heroes. Batrider still out in the pool, it looks like. Visage is there as well, something he's like to grab from time to time. It's actually Entity themselves that ban out the Storm Spirit.
Wonder what he has his mind on. I think the Storm ban maybe suggests like the Zeus I mentioned, it is the magic damage hero. They don't have catch outside of Nyx Assassin though. I think Aster similarly looking for a bit more catch and playmaking out there mid lane. That's where the Storm Spirit gets banned. But like Ember still in the pool. Puck comes to
Tinker?
mind as well. Ooh.
See, I'm looking at this and thinking like Tinker and Lina are
Yeah.
good heroes for Stormer, but are they good for the game?
The Lina looks okay so far. Like there's the Mars, I guess, is a bit of a problem with the bulwark and also the ability to jump on top of you. But as far as the Lina versus SF, that feels really nice for the Lina matchup.
Yeah. I think the struggle I always have is Broodmother doesn't give you team fight. So you're looking at Nyx Silencer as all of your team fight and catch, and then Brood Morphling at kind of pressure, right click, scale into late game on the Morphling.
Yeah, Entity just don't seem to have a super well-rounded draft right now. That often happens when you pick Brood because it's just like cheesy, gimmicky hero. You get a lot of, you get this big early to mid-game advantage from Brood, but it's all about making sure that you kind of close the game out. If it drags too long, the Brood can kind of fall off and feel ineffective.
And it's probably still just the Batrider out there, honestly.
True.
Tinker as a side option. I think Storm Spirit has been one of these heroes that answers Batrider a little bit in the lane.
I like the idea of Batrider. I think that makes a lot of sense. And they do also get the counter pick, so they'll get to know whether it's a matchup against Shadow Fiend or someone else.
And it's like if they ban Quap here, it's like guaranteed Batrider, I think. Yeah. And then what do Aster need? We're still looking for their mid/safe lane, depending where SF goes, I guess. Leaving that flex open to the last pick.
Yeah,
Taking their time.
definitely want to pick something that doesn't have too many bad matchups, but it's like a Kunkka maybe. They banned Slark. Again, it just depends so much with Aster, but is Shadow Fiend going mid or safe lane? Entity, you don't have a clue. They're banning out a carry in the mid because they don't know. I think the flexibility is obviously up until now been a big strength. They're going to have to reveal it or pick another flex hero, but kind of depend. I think they need to maybe address the Morphling a bit with whatever this pick is here.
Does Slark scream back to you as well?
I think Slark is for the Morphling matchup, but it does also protect against the Batrider. Well, protect if you want to go for a Batrider, so absolutely.
Entities turn to pick.
Final one for Aster, the Lone Druid.
Ooh,
Oh.
that's scary.
Oh,
We've
that's
seen, I think it was Lone Druid SF from Liquid during last chance qualifiers.
Yeah.
It was like one of the lower bracket deciding games, and they just steamrolled with it. Combine it with a team fight of a Mars and the Omni heals and sustain. Like that's a very potent draft that's going to come online in a way that Morphling is not ready to kind of fight and defend. If you're Entity, you're thinking we need AoE wave clean, we need deep push, we need some kind of like nuke that just stalls and buys time.
Yeah, and then that might have to be the Lina. Going back to that one, got Dragon Slave and Light Striker Ray to kind of shove back and follow through on a Nyx Assassin initiation. It feels like that's also what they're lacking a little bit here. But they go with the tried and true Batrider for Stormer. Yeah. Saw that coming a little bit in the draft. But I've got to say that it's not even a last pick, it's the penultimate pick, Lone Druid. It doesn't seem like a super fast-paced lineup with the first 4 they've got, and then LD comes, and suddenly this is like a 20-minute steamroller from Aster, potentially.
Yeah, it's one of these drafts where it's like lose one team fight and you just lose like half your base or lose a Roshan. Like once SF hits level 15, combine that with the Lone Druid Bear, and you just get eaten alive, or at least your buildings do. If Pure gets enough Ominous Morphling, like you've got a Agi carry that doesn't really care as much about the minus armor because he's just like once he gets enough farm. So I think the Pure Morphling is kind of that game winner if they can get the game into the late game.
See if they can do that. A lot of space has to be made by Toby on this Broodmother. His laning stages is absolutely vital here for Entity. Broodmother, a hero that can fall short if she doesn't come out of that laning stage with a significant lead. So like we're saying, doesn't really offer you too much in terms of team fight. It's all map pressure from Toby there to create a bit of an opening in the enemy jungle for the Nyx and the Batrider to start playing aggressively. I can absolutely see Aster matching them every step of the way here, though, with a Mars Snap. Like, that duo of heroes, not super long cooldown ultis, but a lot of firepower.
Yeah, it's a bit of a throwback, and the team fight potential of that is pretty brutal. They've got the silencers, this kind of combo breaker, and also a way to just instantly cancel the Mortimer's Kisses. So I think there is ways to kind of try and counterplay it. But at the same time, it's scary nonetheless. And XXS, his Mars is fantastic. He's played this hero countless times, and there's every offlane I feel like at this point has played a lot of Mars, but he definitely stands out when it comes to his ability to play Mars.
Yeah, and especially in the first couple of levels here, you're playing into a Morphling lane. I think we'll have our eyes pretty much glued onto that lane of XXS plus the Snapfire. Make sure that Morphling, pre-level 3, could get kill threat on him.
What, you don't want to watch the Omni SF lane with all their kill threat?
With a Broodmother against them? Not really.
Ah, that sounds like a thriller.
We'll ignore that lane and look at the other two.
Omni-Light lanes are, definitely not known for their excitement.
a little dull. Let's see
Awesome.
how they set things up.
They're swapping lanes on Aster. They're sending the Mars to the safe lane and the Lone Druid up top, it looks like.
Oh. So Mars is the answer to Brood then?
I guess they feel it's definitely going to be better when Spiderlings come online. I think early levels it doesn't matter quite as much, but they do seem to think that maybe Mars is better there. With that said, XSS is now joined up top a bit too, so they probably want to scout out some of these lanes before they commit to anything.
Yeah, see what they get up to. Well, I guess equally this Lone Druid Omni Knight, and it's going to be LD in one of the side lanes. SF, Ori heading into mid. It looks like Morphling. What's it going to be? Morphling Silencer against Omni Lone Druid. That seems good for Aster again.
Yeah, I think laning setup for them is very solid here. As far as the mid lane goes, maybe the one lane where they won't have the same kind of edge, depending on how SF can do with his raises here. I think Batrider early level. I mean, if SF gets off to a good start and starts building up souls and zones the Batrider with raises, it is a lane that can swing heavily in the SF's favor.
The battle begins.
Yeah, all about landing your raises as well. The top rune. I'm going to be grabbed up here by the Omni Knight. Sneaks one. And four. Actually, all four.
That's instant GG, right? Isn't that how it
It's
works?
over. Yeah. The throne collapses. Dire base in tatters. Game's over. You're going to have that 1k lead for Aster heading into these lanes, which, we kind of favor them in as well. We'll see how that actually plays out with potential for bonus salves and a bit of extra regen for them. As it looks like Entity were considering, they've gone for lane swaps themselves as well.
Yeah, they've caught on to what's going on. Comes a little bit late. Aster themselves probably can't make a lane swap with it just being too long a distance to walk. They'll just have to settle for these lanes now, but they've already got the the small edge by having their lane set up first, so they get the early little CS advantage.
I see across all three of that. Lone Druid against Broodmother. Silencer trying to zone away the Omni Knight, but he's got the wave pull. Gonna go drag that behind his tier 1. The Fisherman will follow him, try and deny and sap up some of the experience.
And we've got the SF versus Bat mid. Batrider getting some good early last hits. SF being forced to throw out a lot of raises. Down bottom, you can see already both teams eyeballing possible kill openings. Definitely a lane where I think, as far as eyeballing lanes, I think this bottom lane is going to be the big one where, kills could potentially happen.
Yeah, and they've got the big added bonus with this lane swap of being able to cookie forward and spear back under tower. So they can add quite a lot more damage to their combo with the Snap and the Mars up against this Morph and Nyx. Yeah, the picture-in-picture there, it's actually Lone Druid that comes back to gather up the wave. Side creeps meeting his tier 1. Oh, the cookie. Doesn't connect the spear to the tree though, so Kataomi, he's going to scurry away.
So far these lanes going slightly Aster's way, as we kind of talked about and expected a bit. Neither team really playing too much around these pulls in the side lanes. It looks like they want to prioritize making sure that if there is any kind of harass trade happening, that they're getting the better of it. But Boca doing a really good job just keeping Pure at bay.
Force him away from those creep waves. Don't let Morphling get his last hits freely. What, 10 and 5 on this Mars already. XXS having a dream game.
Yeah, getting the denies is... I mean, a few of those were because Morphling was running from top side of the map to the bottom, but he's been able to continue getting them even since then.
Looks like SF catching up as well, getting denies of his own. So now he's got all these stacks up.
And the level 4 with the level 2 Necromastery is where the bonus damage really starts to kick in, and I feel like you can get denies on most creeps in this lane now. It's pretty tricky for Stormstormer. He's going to want to try and go for some kills, particularly around support rotations. Nyx Assassin would be a... Oh, again, Nyx Assassin, he's getting caught in the jungle here, but he'd love a rotation mid from Nyx, but Kanaomi's just trying to get out of danger here.
It does get the bounty in at least. Forced to salve up and is going to lurk around, but he's under a Radiant Obs ward. Every step that he makes is scouted. So Baboka attempting a little half pull. Yeah, grabs the range creep. That's good enough. Deny what you can. Keep giving this Mars a good time.
God, this CS is so Radiant favored right now. It does take a little bit for Brood to kind of come online, and up against the Lone Druid, it's hard to kind of get those laning stage last hits as much. Not even going for the Silken Bowler. It's not really worth it because there's both Lone Druid and the Baron. You can't use it on both.
I mean, what's the Brood's role this game? Because I know that Entity with this Broodmother, they like the kind of Aura bot style with Wraith Pact, Pipe, Assault Cuirass, that kind of thing. Is it the same story here for Toby?
I think it almost has to be, because this game's is going to be played at such a fast pace with the pushing potential of Lone Druid, SF Omni, that you can't go too greedy and you can't try and scale. So he's got Arcane Boots queued up. I would expect, yeah, Wraith Pact and Team Iron, even like a Crimson Guard type build maybe considered.
Oh yeah, that'd be cool. He does lose his Wraith Band recipe though. Omni Knight hiding himself in the trees and finding a snipe on it. Continuing to give the Lone Druid a good time. As a stun on bottom, Nyx trying to fight back into Baboka, but this range strength hero, unusual. But the Snapfire in a very good spot just to tank up all the spells. As XXS misses the spear on Pure.
Swing and miss there, but bit of a mind game. Baboka and Kataomi are just playing this like he's trying to get the Scatter Blast on Nyx Assassin, and Nyx Assassin is trying to carapace it, so he has to keep pump faking it.
Nice, good cookie. And they've got the chain stuns this time to blow up the Nyx.
Perfectly done. Just great recognition that he was just a little bit out of position there, and unless he carapaces the cookie, he's going to get chain stunned. And even if you carapace the cookie, you're still in a bit of a crappy situation.
Yeah, Scatterblast slow comes in. God, that's I don't know why that was so difficult to say. We're getting late in the day for me apparently. Old man brain kicking in. And Nyx Assassin now moving into mid, but look at the rotation from Aster. Not just matching it, but bringing more numbers around the 6-minute rune spot. Cookie forward onto Ori. And now the Razor is going to get launched down onto Kataomi. Long range coming off cooldown in 2 seconds, but it looks like with that stick, the Nyx Assassin's all right.
It's back to safety, but both teams really want to play around this mid lane before these 6 minutes rune spawns. It does create a bit of a barrier with top rune controlled by Entity and bottom by Aster. Unfortunately for Aster, spawns top, and Omni in a bit of trouble, but with Ori's SF here, he's keeping Omni alive.
Yeah, all walking down that river into the Razors. Scary times for them. And Baboka there to get a bit of chip damage back as well. But no refill for Ori, a big deal there for them, as Batrider does get the rune grab for himself.
They've got a 2k gold lead. That's pretty crazy. 6 minutes in with just the 1 kill. They're just completely outfarming these side lanes, and they're the ones whose lineup kind of comes online first in a very scary way to take some of these early objectives. So definitely a good sign for Aster that the lanes are going this well.
Yeah, it really favors them with 6 heroes mid, the 2 side laners. Mars doing very well against the Morphling continues and keeps the pressure on with Baboka's rotation back. Let's keep Pure away from creep waves, while top lane, catapult waves there for Monet. Chipping away at the tier 1. Nothing Toby can do to To really do that, he needs Stormstormer's help with the Entangling Claws, keeping the Batrider a little bit further back. The Dispel coming out from Simon's Cat. Gonna lasso up the Lone Druid, though. Drag him back and kill him off.
Yeah, Ori tried to make the TP rotation and used maybe a Requiem to fear everybody away, but good use of the Lasso to prevent that kind of counterplay, and a great gank on the Lone Druid. That's going to be the hero that really sets the tempo for Aster, so slowing down this Mask of Madness timer is going to really help out Entity when it comes to buying them some time.
Yeah, it's super important to get Stormstormer involved. Get a bit of speed under the Stormstormer's back. Needs his timing on the boots of travel. A long way away, so really looking for some ancient stacks and jungling here for the Batrider in the meantime. And kill-wise, it is a pretty slow-paced game. But I think you're right in terms of Aster being able to hit their stride a little bit faster. Looking good for them, favoring them coming out of this laning stage as it does start to break down. And rotation's top, Ori's just leaving the mid lane. DD Rune looks like they want to claim the tier 1 already.
This kind of pace for these push drafts always feels like a one-to-one game where there's been no fighting. When you're the ones with a push draft, feels good because you're not meant to do much in the lane stage. You're meant to just farm up and get your levels, get your items, and now they start making their moves. With the level 6 Bear as well as the Shadow Fiend having maxed out raises, they've rotated everyone on top and got a great arena down to kill the Brood.
Yeah, down goes Toby and Fishman too. Double kill for Monet and a tier 1 tower, their prize to claim.
Yeah.
Nice, this Omni pick seems pretty damn good, because every debuff that's on you, sticky napalm or the silken bowler, silence from silencer, every little bit counts to give additional little buffs in here from that Heavenly Grace. And he's going to find Stormstormer with a little whack of his hammer, or he wants to steal some stacks. Entity not going to give this away for free though, starting to bring some heroes to defend it, but it looks like it's too little too late.
Well, Raisin's gone, but down bottom they've made a move. They want to get this Snapfire. It's just the support who's trying to delay the push down here, but it's a play Entity have to make. They need to make sure they don't get caught back in the mid lane, but without Mazarina, Aster kind of lacked that catch to punish Entity from being split up.
Yeah, instead, they'll go and shift their efforts into mid. 4 heroes strong, looking for the tier 1. Don't have a catapult for another 40 seconds until it actually arrives at the tower itself. So a bit of damage here, just setting up for that moment, and already Entity expending the glyph, bringing a few heroes to defend it. But when Lone Druid arrives, this bear with Blightstone and already right clicks, they do add up very quick. Shadow Fiend though, going for the bottom rune. Stormstormer grabs the invis, and he did have a lasso there, but opting not to go for the play.
With the Omni scene behind, there's not really any point. Heavenly Grace can come out, so we'll just concede the mid-tier 1 tower, and they're doing all of this kind of before some of these key item timings. The Mask of Madness wasn't even up. Just Blightstone, gloves, and quarterstaff on the bear, and the mask being delivered now means the push is really going to start ramping up, and he's eyeing off a Desolator next. I do think Aster need to be careful not to overly 5-man. They still want to get things like the level 15 on SF, so I think splitting their resources makes sense.
Well, pure baiting here, but the immediate Entangling Claws under the Sentry, the Global, that'll allow them to kill the Lone Druid. No Savage Roar, no ways out, and the Omni Knight didn't get any saves onto the Lone Druid either. So his attempted TP cancel, and pure, the bait play works out for the Morphling beautifully there.
Very nicely done. Even with the first hit route, they are still able to get the kills, and I think for Aster, they're okay with this. They're actually going to throw out an arena down bottom.
Yeah,
with the kisses.
getting run out. The kisses onto Toby. Good damage onto the Broodmother, but they need another God's Rebuke to finish the job. Kataomi still under invis. Are there any sentries? Yeah, there's one sentry over there, and it's being pinged out. Brood tells his Nyx to run the other way.
Nyx took it out of there, but that's such a nice kill to get. They'd already lost the T1 mid tower, so Brood just playing alone down there. And yeah, it kind of goes back to what I was saying. I think for Aster, it's okay. They don't necessarily want to overly 5-man. You're not getting any of these tier 2 towers, I think, anytime soon. You're happy with the tier 1 mid and top because that kind of frees up the Roshan pit and makes it really hard for Rosh to be contested later on. So going for these tier 1s makes a lot more sense to me.
Yeah, and if Monet can farm out, a top wave, dip back into Ancients, he's going to accelerate very quickly. While the rest of the team, and Kataomi, he moves into stun, but he's cookied and speared, killed off by a Purify out of Siamese Cat, and this tier 1 tower bottom, and you can try and defend it, but it looks forfeit to me.
I thought now they've lost Nix, it for sure is, but given that Kisses and Arena's on cooldown, it's definitely concerning that they're not able to defend these towers. Batrider getting very low on this Ancient stack, but we'll be okay. This is a very important stack for his game. Needs his BKB as fast as possible, but just doesn't quite even have the damage to farm it up.
Yeah, it's difficult, isn't it?
It's not going to be stolen, at least. That's the good news.
Yeah, Fishman trying to help out. Arcane Boots, a bit of damage from the curse. He's got a Wraith Band himself on that silencer for a bit of bonus armor against this Lone Druid, Shadow Fiend, Mars. It's always funny to see some of these supports or int heroes buying a Wraith Band, but there we are. State of the game we're in. Anyone can do whatever they want.
You know what the most sad thing is with Lone Druid in the game?
What's that?
One of the supports doesn't get a neutral item.
Oh, right.
Poor Omni.
Oh.
Poor Omni. Just
So sad,
Lone
so
Druid
sad.
hoarding the double neutral item, wants the shovel and broom handle, and yeah, Omni pays the price.
That's unfortunate. What's the... Oh, Mars. Another Arena Kisses. That's the combo, but cancelled out by the global. Good combo break there from Fishman. Keeping Toby alive, but they'll clear the Spiderlings with ease thanks to the Scatter Blast and the Razors. Yeah, another little poke from Entity, forcing reactions out of Aster, but they're just not giving up any of this space on the map. They're continuing to farm very freely.
Yeah, it just feels like even not getting the kill, they're still getting farm across the map. Killing the Brood would be pretty catastrophic for Entity at this stage of the game.
Oh,
They're desperately...
Oh, Pure got off his attribute shift.
Okay.
And he's going to waveform down.
Yep. Even TP's out. Doesn't want anything to do with this and doesn't want to stick around. All 3 tier 1 towers claimed. Lone Druid's just been kind of playing solo on the top side of the map, but I gotta imagine they're going to be linking up to maybe go for Roshan fairly soon.
What's the timing there? You can Requiem during the cookie stun? That's a pretty cool little play that they tried to make. I mean, Pure was very quick on it. Actually, Toby getting caught down bottom. Yeah, the chain stuns again. Well, I do lose their Omni Knight top. It's Pure's Morphling, and Toby actually gets into the tree line thanks to his web.
Needs to be careful. Any kind of a spear could set up a kill on him, but Brood going to be forced to TP out, so what's the play here for Entity? They can see in this bottom lane to the Mars, who's got the Blink Falcon Blade, and elsewhere I mentioned SF. You want some alone time as SF. You want to get that level 15. No Mask of Madness, no kind of greedy SF build this game. He's just trying to hit these early stat timings to really kind of link up with Lone Druid early on.
Yeah, is this going to be a Manta before BKB for SF to try and deal with the global silence, or what do you reckon? Casual Yasha?
I'm okay with Manta style. I think dealing with global makes a lot of sense. Also, you look at this dire lineup, and there's, you know, there are things you need BKB against, like that and Nyx, but against Brood and Morphling, Manta style works fine. So both options seem reasonable to me.
Yeah, we'll see what he decides to go for. Yeah, Manta queued up right now for Ori, so it looks like he's making that decision as he smokes with XXS and Baboka. Heading northwards.
Yeah, any kill probably gets them this top tier 2 tower. Deso coming out on the Lone Druid in just a second here, so that's a big power spike for this Aster team, but they're not going to find anybody in the area, which either is going to mean they're going to back off to go for Roshan, or maybe try and force some rotations by pressuring this top tier 2.
Good read by Entity. Toby going to show on mid lane, just clear out that, push into tier 1. While the rest of Entity down bottom, giving Fuel this very safe farm. Oh, Stormstorm shows on the wave, Pure is just farming jungle. While the 2 supports, they launch forward, get a good Observer Ward deep behind enemy lines in that Radiant jungle. Like you're saying, Roshan is always there as an opportunity for Aster just to walk into the pit.
It's pretty free here. And even leaving the Snapfire mid to kind of delay any kind of a push. They get scanned out, but I don't think the response is going to be in time.
There's no way in for Entity. Try and make the most of what you've got with this map space now.
And that map space is going to get smaller and smaller. They're definitely fine down in this bottom lane, and unless or until Aster makes some kind of sweep through. But I do imagine Aster want to get a tier 2 tower fairly soon. Probably both the top and the mid tower during this Aegis timer.
Trying to play under that ward. 3 heroes there from Entity, hoping for a hero to come walking up the staircase. Aster give them none of that. Babuka, really tucked back in behind. Very defensively. And Lamar's looking to reconnect with his team up top. It's kind of interesting. Like, Entity are the ones with the vision this game and not Aster, even with the momentum Aster have had.
Kind of a cool item pickup too. Lone Druid has an Ag Shard queued up, so having the basic Dispel that is shared between the Bear as well as the Lone Druid when he uses Savage Roar against things like Batrider and Silencer seems amazing.
Yeah, I think we've seen it a few times from Matsumaman, especially when he's paired up with the Shadow Fiend. Having that buff coming into the SF for the attack speed is really nice as well.
Oh yeah, I can imagine. I mean, you can see how fast they push. This is pre-level 15 on SF. I don't actually think you want to wait for level 15 SF. It just takes too long to come online. They theoretically can poke and prod at this high ground, and that's exactly what it looks like they're going to do. They're going to at least want to force these TPs back.
Yeah, I mean, you know there's no Blink Bat. You know that Entity don't have that overwhelming teamfight prowess from, say, an Enigma or a Tidehunter. Still going to respect Entity's high ground hold, though.
Yeah.
Want to close in on them and limit this Morphling's farm as best they can. Pure still sitting here, 9,000 net worth, not looking too bad. 600 gold away from his Ags.
Juicy spiders. SSS TPs in the trees and clears a ton of them out. Being able to one-shot these spiders. He's gone for the casual Vlads. I don't believe he's got the Wraith Pact or anything. He just wants extra lifesteal and damage aura for his team.
Nice.
For the push.
That makes a lot of sense. It does suck a little bit for him that his job is to stick down bottom, though. I'd love to be out there with his Snapfire, finding fights and starting things off.
Yeah, he's the one playmaker, and he's being forced into this passive role, but as far as the overall strategy of this Radiant draft goes, they don't mind a more passive game. They've hit their timings now, and they're ready just to barrel down and brute force their way through all these outer towers.
Entity still looking for some kind of opening. Brood, Nyx on his right side of the mid lane, hoping that an Omni Knight or someone walks in towards them. But it's going to be Lone Druid, Mars, Shadow Fiend, all together. Nobody left behind, nobody left alone. That's a family affair from Aster.
Yeah, not trying to risk any high ground play just yet. They're doing things a bit more cautiously, going for all the outer towers, even sweeping out this bottom lane, probably to gear up for that tier 2 bottom. They'd love to find some of these kills. Mars is just always on the hunt, it feels like. He's been all 5 of their kills he's had his name on, but 5 kills each at 20 minutes. Very low action game.
I mean, no one's got any spells to cast. Everyone's got passive abilities. We'll see though.
Here,
Batrider BKB, whether we can do something with it.
And Pierre's got the Ag Scepter on Morphling, which is going to be nice against the SF, but it's also the Lone Druid and his Bear, so not exactly a full-on counter. Not like the game where you're up against like a single carry TB and you're using on him.
And they buy the gem on the bat as well, so it looks like this is their timing. They want to play around and try and keep tabs on Aster, remove any vision they can. But the high ground push is coming. Aster are there. Up onto the tier 3. Breaking into this dire base while Entity, I don't know if they're caught unaware by this because they're pretty distant and the tier 3 just drops quickly.
Or is just baiting.
BKB though, the Manta dodges away from the lasso, finally comes out. The damage looks good though on the bat while Ori about to drop. Killed off as he was lassoed back in towards this pure Morphling, and now the chase is on. Fishman blown up, but the arena's in. Great play by Success to spear up the Brood. Now the Morphling in trouble too. Feared and rooted, getting caught out, but he's got to wait for. Shifted up to 2,000 HP, and he breaks back to his high ground.
Good initiation by Entity, knowing they have to use the Global Silence to stop the Omni Knight. He's going to save the SF there with Heavenly Grace, Guardian Angel, and all that. So they get the Global, they followed up with an extra silence from the last word on Omni Knight, so they guarantee the SF kill, but an amazing arena from Success. We'll see it here again with the follow-up of the fight. There's just too much firepower coming out of this Aster draft, and you have to kind of commit everything just to kill an SF, so the fight that kind of ensues is very Aster favored.
Yeah, it felt like Ori was playing as if he had Aegis. It caught me off guard for a second there, thinking, hey,
Yeah.
he's going to come back alive, it's fine, but no. It was the LD with it.
Yeah, I'm a bit surprised considering SF's the one frontlining with the Spirit Bear. Like, almost feels like he could benefit a bit more from the Aegis, but nonetheless, the fact they got a tier 3 tower off of that Aegis that was already going to be expiring soon is amazing because, you know, their time to really go high rent is going to be Roche number 2. That's where they can try and get multiple lanes of racks. The good news for Entity is, you know, they're down 5k gold, but they've got all their items. They're ready to try and make a play and ideally contest that Roshan.
Yeah, no, it often feels like the tier 3, you know, I think it's definitely more important than the range racks. Maybe equal to the melee, because it makes this lane equilibrium very difficult to handle. Yeah, you're right, Toby. Speared up against the side of the arena. And Monet with that savage roar, pushing him back into the spear and shield wielding soldiers of XXS.
Snapfire bringing down the Wraith Pack super fast with the little shredder, and just a quick and easy kill. They didn't even need the kisses for it. And once again, it's Aster on the front foot, pushing forward. No Roshan for at least a minute and a half. We'll see if they go for any kind of a push or if they're just going to prioritize stalling out the game and farming. They're making a move down bottom for Morphling.
He's got a shift off. Yeah, waveforms away. But I kind of like this from Aster, but as long as they... Oh, God, the catch on Omni. Entity trying to fight this. Just a bit of chip damage.
I don't think Aster want a hard commit. They've got SF elsewhere on the map. He's trying to get his level 15 plus BKB. I think level 15 SF with BKB and next Roshan is just like game over almost. So if I'm Entity, I'm looking at this like, okay, we held that push sort of. It wasn't even the best fight, but next one is going to be 10 times harder if we let them get Roshan. So you can already see, by the way, Entity have moved out. They've got the gem on Batrider. They're trying to deny all the Aster vision around this Roshan pit that they almost know that contesting Roshan is essential for their ability to survive this game.
Yeah, I mean, it was a kind of an interesting position for Aster to be in. Usually in this kind of spot, Radiant would be playing top jungle, taking outpost, getting wards down. But I guess because tier 3 is down, they wanted to, you know, push an additional wave, clear out enemy ancients, sweep through the jungle, get a lot of farm on this lone druid, and everything slots into place very nicely for them because, you know, bottom lane is going to be naturally pushing that tier 3 being down already. Something Entity have to keep coming back and maintaining.
Yeah, that constant pressure is causing some problems, and Aster themselves positioned very kind of split up for the time being. They really want this BKB for the next fight on the SF. If he gets pulled in and lasted, as long as he can get the BKB off, he may feel like the damage isn't quite there to kill him off, although Morphling, he's ramping up. Not just Aghanim Scepter now, has a Manta style to go with it, and this Ags is going to really limit what the SF can do in these fights.
Yeah, it makes life much more difficult. We do have an Assault Cuirass, though, on the lone druid now. A very, very big bear, but a long spawn on Roche, close to 3 minutes. And you've got 2.5 minutes remaining for both these teams to vie for control around the pit. As Kataomi gets off his carapace, but again, the swords and the shields of the arena make sure the Nyx is crushed.
Yep, that Nyx is not a part of the Vanguard.
He's not very tanky, is he?
No. Aster back off, constantly going to be scouting out this Roshan, and they're going to be a little annoyed with how long it takes to respawn.
Is he up yet? Is he up yet? No, son. Still another 2 minutes to go. I'll just keep these waves pushed out then. And they're making sure the farm is limited for Entity here. You know, Pure having to rely on these ancients. Maybe can clear out a mid-wave or two, but it means that, you know, Toby and Stormstormer, their farm is going to start lacking.
I think Aster would love to get this Lotus Orb on Omni Knight. It's going to make his game so much better if he has a way to get rid of the global silence. He's got the Arcane Boots, so, you know, it's still pretty far. He still needs 2,000 gold, and without some kind of like Philosopher's Stone, that's just not really happening. So we'll see if there is any room for him to farm. I think you just can't prioritize it as much as you want the item.
No, I just hope for the best. Get some gold somewhere. Get some bounty runes for him. Oh, look at them. They poke their head back into the pit. Only spiders to meet them. No Roshan yet.
Is under attack.
XXS here with an arcane rune. Might be itching to battle. I know that a teamfight victory here could lead into Roche and very quickly move into that dire base as Entity ready themselves. for what is the biggest fight of the game here for them. Oh, they nearly had the real one there, hey? Pure trying to outplay, but the turnaround comes in. Stormstormer looking to blow back success, but he's BKB'd and arena'd up. The global comes, Katomi's down. And Aster able to stand their ground. The Bear and the Shadow Fiend moving forward swiftly, looking for the Pure Morphling, but he's waveformed away. A buyback from Fishman's Silencer now, but no Nyx Assassin for this fight. Means they're in a 5v4. Focusing the Bear.
They're getting very low. Probably doesn't want to quite resummon it here. So the great use of the shard. The Bear kind of getting kited a lot with all the slows and whatnot, and then he just uses that Savage Roar for a quick dispel. Entity not quite getting the fight they were hoping for, though.
Sending the Bear all the way back to base to regen, so he doesn't have to resummon. And Roshan up now, holding on to that Aghanim shard.
No global silence for this one. If they wait a little bit, Arena up in 40. But Stormstormer looking to engage.
Yeah, Flame Break onto 3 heroes. Firefly's up, but Stormstormer, no lasso means no initiation.
Yeah, they're playing so aggressive, feeling like Pierce kind of hit his big timing to really join these fights, but he needs to be careful. Gets the spear on just the illusion. Yep.
Tanks it for him, and the stun from Kataomi catching Ori, but he's got the heals and saves behind him. Requiem fake pumped for now. As Entity still chipping away at Aster here, charging forward, lassoing Baboka, killing off the Snapfire. Maybe forcing a buyback.
Kind of just waiting for this Arena to come back up. It's finally cooled down, but without the Mortimer's damage, maybe not going to be quite enough for them. Snapfire does have the buyback. Would love to hold onto it and finish off this Lotus Orb, which, yeah, I mentioned the Omni-Knight Lotus. The Snap's also got the same idea. Getting the Purge off on that global silence to guarantee that you can use your spells.
Omni's had to buy a new gem, though. Snapfire lost it with that death. It was obscured by all the webs. I couldn't quite see it, but all the players are picking a gem on the floor, and Toby was the one to pick it up and hand it over to his Bat Rider, it looks like. Oh, no, that one's owned by Fishman. There was another one that was owned by the Omni Knight. Yeah, there's one in the Dire base. So there are now 3 gems in the game.
Right. And all of them on Dire? Is that
2
right?
on Dire, 1 on Radiant.
Oh, okay. Oh yeah, coming out now on the Omni. Yeah, I think for the probably the discussion is that this Snapfire is going Lotus, and we'll use it on Omni Knight. Like Global comes out, purge it off Omni Knight, and he can then save whoever's being lassoed or whatever. Because I think the Snapfire, it's less important to like self Lotus because your spells don't save your teammates.
That's true. We're trying to sneaky Roche here.
Yeah. Here
Spiderlings.
they come.
Catch on Toby though, but he misses the spear. XXS whiffs it. Wraith backs down, and Toby, pretty tanky, looking to get back to the high ground and focusing a lot of their damage onto that Spirit Bear. Roshan barely taking a scratch of damage, and Aster already forced to reset. Well done by Entity to drag this out and continue to look for their opening, to allow Pure to really get involved.
Yeah, I think Aster really want to just completely disengage and stall this one out. I don't think they want to try force a Roche or a team fight until Arena comes back up. Probably just a scenario. I mean, they definitely want to stop Entity from getting this one. They'll stick around, but Entity want to force a team fight.
Yeah, Stormstormer. Looking for XXS, but he does have that BKB. No Arena for the Mars, though. As he blinks forward, it gets global. Pure focusing in, but the Bulwark gives him so much defensiveness. Mars now in on top of the Morphling, but a man to dodge away from the Cookie Bear gets Pure away from there. And another reset as Kataomi jumps in. A 2-man stun again leads to nothing. And just back and forth between these 2 squads. Really, really tight team fight around this Roche.
Spear back.
Morph. Got off his shift, has a BKB to play with. Half health on the Morphling now. He's gonna have to waveform away back towards the rest of his team. A victory.
They're throwing the kisses. Pierce getting low. Has a 4-stuff out, so he'll survive through this, but a lot of damage being dealt. That may be enough to zone them out and secure Roshan.
Yeah, I mean, that was a W for Aster.
W for someone.
Keep Entity away from the pit. I mean, Pure, he's back to full HP. He's got salve for days.
Yep.
And Roche half health.
Who's it going to go to?
Oh, this is dangerous territory now. Kataomi, stun dodged by Ori. In comes XXS for the BKB up for Stormstormer.
Another missed spear.
Focused up, he's feared up and killed off. Both supports down on Entity and needed the buyback out of the Nyx. Pure, he's the one being focused now, but his BKB is going to weather through that Requiem of Souls. Ori with the punches, though, needs the waveform back to high ground. But this surely is going to give up control of the Roche pit. Surely. Oh, Entity's still trying to fight. Baboka buys back now, and you're in a 5v4 Entity.
As mentioned, Entity just know this Roche is game over for them, I think, if they don't get it. Or at least it feels that way when you're up against this Lone Druid SF. They've bought so much time, they've delayed it. Both teams playing so jittery around the pit, and with how low Roche is, this is danger time. This is do or die time.
Well, both of these side lanes as creeps push in. Aren't they meant to be heroes in this game? What's going on? Everyone's in the Roche pit for the past 5 minutes.
Yep. Creeps getting to feel some mercy here as
The bear's nearly dead. Monet, Ori, looking to finish off this Roshan. Toby is edging around the pit though. Misses out on the spear though. The bash comes in. Monet and Ori focusing onto the Brood and get the kill on Toby. Buyback immediately though as Pure looking to bring down that Spirit Bear of Monet. Very tanky though with that
Bat Rider
still coming through. And the waveform in. Roshan's nearly dead. Stormstormer's there. Snatches the Aegis. But the Bat will die the first time. Ori and Monet are on their plate now as XXS plays forward aggressively with a cookie. Baboka returned the stun from Kataomi, aiming for the SF with the lasso. They're a big Mars Arena though. It holds the ball in place for this SF and Lone Druid to do damage. But Fishman, he's going to force staff away, and Pure's Morphling still alive somehow, getting back in on top of the Mars, killing off Aster one by one, and Ori's done for.
oh, somehow they've done it. The fight into the Roche. I don't even know what to say about that one. That was just pure chaos for the last, 6 minutes of the game around this pit. Both teams using so many buybacks, using so many spells, missing a lot of spells along the way just out of fear of their opponents roaching. And finally, in the end, it's a Roche that just instantly gets kind of negated. It was always all for nothing, it feels like. I mean, for nothing, that's great for Entity. They're the ones looking to stall this and not give up an Aegis, and also they get a huge gold swing in their favor with all the kills they got in the end. And as this game goes on, this Spirit Bear is not going to be able to carry things in the late game. There's so many annoying things that kite the Spirit Bear. We've seen the Napalms, the Silken Bola. Just really tough game to drag out as Entity poised to maybe swing this game back in their favor if they can just keep pushing things later and later with Pierre's Morphling.
Look at that graph. Holy shit, the dive. It was 3.5 grand going the way of Entity, and a third of that, 1,000 gold, went to Morphling. With 4,000 experience, I mean, the fact that Morph hasn't died, stayed alive through those 6 minutes of fighting around Roshan. If Pure isn't a household name now, he will be soon. As an Arena Kisses combo will catch Toby up in the top part of the map, gets down to low ground, and a full staff back by Fishman. Getting Toby yet again out of danger. Entity just playing out of their minds in these team fights.
Yeah. The crazy thing when we saw those graphs, it's still 75% Aster favored according to Gaben. So they're really liking Aster's chances and their draft's ability to continue to scale. I think the SF is obviously a big part of that. And on the dire side, the Brood is feeling a little bit lackluster as things goes on. It's kind of this aura bot, so it does feel like Aster get a lot more out of all three of their cores as this game drags out.
You know what the problem is here? Monet doesn't have a name for his Spirit Bear.
That is a travesty.
Yeah, no El Doge, nothing like that. Baboka getting found by Kataomi and Pure. And the Global gives the cover for the Bat Rider to lasso the Omni Knight. Look to bring him down before he can get his spells off. The Guardian Angel does come in time. And Pure with his BKB looking to retreat as Toby's Broodmother shredded by the minus armor and right-click damage. Fishman looking like he's going to join him in the grave. 2 down for the price of the Omni Knight there. So Aster feeling a little better about themselves coming into that fight.
Yeah, so much use on an Omni, and the fact he still got the Guardian Angel off right before he died made a big difference, because Pure had just kind of arrived and gone into the middle of things and was probably ready to look for a new target, but couldn't dish out any damage. So Entity were forced to just fully disengage and cede a couple extra kills to Aster, who are using this Mars particularly. XSS is constantly finding pickoffs. 18 kills, and he is 5-1-13. That's 100% kill involvement for the XXS Mars.
Oh, what a monster. Is this The high ground again for Aster. 30 seconds with no
There's no
brood.
buyback, yeah.
Yeah. Glyph required. Oh,
That's
that's
the SF. He's got a Lincoln Sphere, and you'll have to find a way to break it.
Yeah, Lone Druid puts his bear on the front lines. Wraith Pack there as a defensive tool. Kataomi with another attempted blink stun, just gonna catch illusions.
That Rax just got deleted so fast. It was like 2-3 seconds and it's gone, and Aster's out of there. So they swoop in, grab a Rax, and get out. It's just the one lane, but that's just one more lane of pressure that's gonna be constantly going Entity's way, and means that next lane of Rax is so important to be defended.
Yeah, just casual 11,000 building damage on the Lone Druid. No problem for
Easy.
Monet.
Yep.
Quadruple Wraith Bands ready.
It's looking a lot better from the 2 GG branch days. For a long time, he just had 2 branches plus brown boots, so...
Yeah. Get the all the bonus armor and stuff from those Wraith Bands, especially, you know, with the double up effect of it.
Yeah, once you hit past 25 minutes, he's... yeah, you feel pretty nice about this.
I mean, what is he? 43 armor, and when he's in true form, he's got like 4,000 health. Maybe a touch more. Incredibly tanky hero. He's got Basher queued up, but he's already got a Basher. I'll see what he decides to go for next. Oh, XXS. Did he see Pure? No, he didn't. Didn't catch a glimpse of him there as the smoke broke. And tier 4 items starting to come in for both teams. Timeless Relic on the Batrider is a huge one.
Oh, absolutely. He's got a refresher queued up, so really looking to play around these lassos as best as possible. So that's they can get. They've got the Witchbane on Morphling, so having that added Dispel as well, maybe against some of the things like that Savage Roar bonus.
Aster. Looking for control. Oh my god, Kataomi! The perfect initiation! Ori has the BKB Requiem, but he's already dead! Pure! He's aiming for XXS, but the BKB TP there gonna be... Oh, he's got the lasso of the Lone Druid! Entity again, some way, somehow! The perfect jump, perfect heroes, the perfect kills!
Just so quick. Just jumping this Omni Knight. He can't afford to be positioned that far forward, and off of that, no buyback on Lone Druid. Has it in 350 gold, but unless they can find some bounty runes, he's not getting that. And SF has a buyback, but gotta imagine Eddie will be pushing forward here. They just do so much damage. Morphling just ignoring the SF who's pumping his Requiem with the BKB right clicks and the Daedalus. He just deletes Shadow Fiend with that 5,000 damage. What an impale.
That's it, right? We've seen this Nyx Assassin through regionals, through LCQB. He's such a vital hero for a number of teams, and this is why. Kataomi just out of the shadows, demolishing Aster with one stun.
What kisses out just to stall this push.
I mean, where's the Slacks chat wheel line? You know, God, gamer alert! That's Kataomi right here in a nutshell. That's Entity's turn to start pushing high ground now. At least forcing these waves in towards Radiant Base. It's felt like 40 minutes of losing from Entity, but they found ways back in through some sick teamfight execution.
I can't believe Dota Plus still thinks Aster has this game.
By how much?
It is on the copium. 64%. Full copium from Dota Plus, from Gaben.
We'll see how that updates in the next minute or so. It's not caught up for the last fight. Pure saved up again by the global silence, but now that's a long cooldown for Aster to exploit.
Spiraling's going out, gonna get some intel, but easily cleared out as well. And SF does have a ninja gear, so he's playing around that self-smoke as well.
And Aster not making any rash moves. A minute for the next Roshan, just looking to deward their Ancients area. Control up a bit of space on the map, but you've got to feel they're a little bit shaken after these team fights. They need something to go their way to break out of this rut they found themselves in. A 3k lead has emerged for Entity. Morphling right up at the top there, 4 grand ahead of his nearest opponent. And Aster smoking. Coming in behind
Position to
Toby.
pop this.
Breaks the smoke, the fear, the spear. Where is it from XXS? He misses it. So Toby's still alive, and the backup from his team will start to arrive. Tries to flicker over the side of the arena, heals himself up, he's feared and nearly dead. The raise, and the last hit connects. They do take him down, but the lasso comes in onto the Omni Knight, killing off Siamese Cat. So Aster now needing some way to defend their SF. A Requiem with a fear buys a bit of time, but Lincoln's is now popped, and the damage from Pure! It is monumental as the Morphling moves in for more. Baboka way forward upon and a triple kill for the Morphling. 10-0-8 for Pure's Morph here and cruising.
We're just not seeing or feeling the impact of this Omni. It feels like every team fight is getting caught and picked off and found. Stormstormer has just been on point all game long, finding the Omni, taking out the GA. That's all Pure needs. You kill this Omni and there's no GA, nobody can go toe-to-toe with a right-click Morphling. We'll see it all again here. And another fight where Toby just tanks all these spells, a solo arena. He dodges the spear once more. And Toby's survivability and elusiveness has been a key part of Entity's success as well.
Yeah, I think he would have survived there if the Flicker had taken him over the arena, because he got it off, but it didn't move him. Entity. Aegis on the Morphling, she's on Nyx. Gem's still there to keep dewarding, and high ground they go. Pure on the tier 3. No SF for 15 seconds, and he's going to respawn with 12 souls.
Definitely not ideal. Not really much they can do to defend this mid lane of Rax here. And they've got 4 minutes of Aegis to play around on the Entity side. They can easily go from mid lane to these side lanes if they want, but with 5 heroes alive, they may have to reset and look for that clean initiation before making another go.
Have you seen this? Pure has bought 6 mangoes.
Okay. Is he using them on his teammates himself?
I don't know. He's got 3 on Courier, 3 in his backpack, and I'm not quite sure.
There's no, like, mana burn to worry about, so to speak.
I'm wondering, did he buy them or were these shovel mangoes? Surely it's not 6 shovel mangoes, right?
I don't think so. He probably just buying them because he's maybe occasionally running out of mana. You can just kind of bring them into your, you know, quickly eat 3 at once. But yeah, definitely right now you're looking at me, he's like, well, does he have mana problem? It doesn't feel like it.
DD. There's a DD. He swapped the mangoes in.
What's he doing with them?
Okay. Munch, munch, munch. Bottles up the double damage rune. He just wants to be full mana.
That was, yeah, just so he could carry the bottle, but... yeah, I mean, there's merit to it. He's 6-slotted, like, what do you use your extra item slots for? He's already got the refresher shards, so having some free mana doesn't make 0 sense, but here we go. 1 initiation. This DD morph is gonna absolutely demolish her.
They found out the hero, the Lone Druid himself, dragged back into the stun from Kataomi. The Lone Druid's dead, caught out without buyback, and Aster now, they're on the run back to Fountain, but we've got the second lasso saved up by the Omni Knight. The global and the damage, Pure shreds through him, 2 heroes gone, and Aster in shambles. The refresher up from Pure, waveforms forward, and GG is just called. Entity.
Too much damage. This morph in the fountain, getting some more kills for himself and his team, getting some tips. What a comeback. This game looked all but over.
What a massive... I mean, that's a comeback. It's a massive comeback for Entity in that game. Ridiculous
really
scenes. How did that Morphling end? He was unkilled the entire game, wasn't he?
He was 13-0-9. Here's Morphling, absolutely flawless. Stormstorm only dies once, 4-1-17. And I think, to me, the story of this game was just, like, Aster unable, like, to connect with some of the, you know, they're going for this big push strat. I think it's always a key ingredient to have that catch hero. Like, we saw LGD play around the Pangolier. Mars was kind of their big catch hero. He's 6-2-14 in the game. Every single kill he's involved with, but he was never finding the key kills. It was Toby's Broodmother that was always tanking these ganks, or like a Kataomi Nyx assassin. Here and Stormstormer went kind of ignored the entire game.
Yeah, or a Morph Illusion getting speared up time and time again. It's unfortunate for the Mars, but we've seen comebacks, we've seen teams hit their timings and swing games with a couple of teamfight victories, but it felt like this was something else. This was something special from Entity.
Oh, so this entire second Roche that we're seeing the replay of, which is like a 5-minute highlight, I feel, the way Entity stalled it out, and by the time Roche went down, like, even theoretically, if Aster got that Aegis and Shard, I don't think think they're actually going to lose the game off of it because they bought themselves so much time from Morphling to get online. Just delaying Roshan was so key for them because Lone Druid SF is such like a timing draft that they were just looking to kind of delay, and they did an amazing job of that.
Yeah, and thinking back to it, I mean, this was an 18th pick Morphling, right? So last pick of the second phase. There was no real chance here for like an Ancient Apparition who was unbanned in that game. It was kind of a late Morphling pick, so maybe something there for Aster to reconsider when Pure has his hands on it. You might want to plan for it.
Yeah, I mean, he played amazing in this game. I do think Aster, I don't think they should focus too much on the draft. I think the last pick, Lone Druid, was the perfect idea. I think this was a game of execution in so many ways. I mean, they had the win probability, you know, lead for so much of the game. And watching this game, it honestly felt like they were this ticking time bomb that was about to go off, and just one mistake, you lose the game. That's what SF with level 15 talent plus Lone Druid does. With a Deso, Mask of Madness, you lose a fight, you lose Dota. You give them second Roshan too early and for free, you lose the game. So the fact that Entity didn't make that one big mistake is so impressive, because this game has to be played flawlessly, whereas Aster, they made some mistakes along the way, and even with those mistakes, it still felt like they were going to win because of how strong their draft was.
Yeah, real testament to Entity's understanding of buyback status on their supports, Kataome's initiation, and that cover from the Silencer with a global, and not just used for big team fights, but to keep Pure alive in a lot of these situations where you could easily have just been solo killed out by this XXS Mars with the Ori SF nearby. My goodness, yeah, it was Aster on the cusp of victory for such a long portion of that game, and MVP, I mean, without a shadow of a doubt, really, there.
Yeah, absolutely. You mentioned 13-0-9. You know, a lot of these games, like, this game could have very easily ended a little bit earlier, and, you know, the Morph doesn't carry, and you just say, well, what could he do? You got outdrafted, they have this push strat, you don't get, you know, you never get to come online, but he made sure that he got just involved enough with some of those early fights, with that Roshan particularly. I mean, 88% kill involvement. Like, that's not normally what you expect or need out of your carry, but he was making sure that any key fight he was showing up to.
Yeah, how's he managed that? He was farming the first 20 minutes. Yeah, getting involved in some of these Roshan fights definitely helped out. I mean,
also speaks to his team's inability to, you know, do much. They were got 5 kills for the first 25 minutes. So they weren't doing much without him.
Yeah, did a lot of heavy lifting come the late game. As game one goes the way of Entity. I mean, I thought the LGD OG series would be the close one with the tight fights and these big climatic endings, but it's going to be Entity taking game one here in this best of two, as we'll have a quick break and return with game two.